Taylor, buddy, what's
Hi.
going on? Really quick intro, but we're live. And literally right before we go live, Taylor just screamed something at me there's a piece of news and information which we want to get to, but we'll get to it in a second. We want to welcome you in, kind of set the stage for what we're going to do. NFL Draft preview show here on CLNS Media Network. Taylor and I are going to take you all the way through the Patriots pick. We're going to preview it here. We're going to take you all the way through that Patriots pick, number 3, which there is news. The belief is they are going to stay and Maye. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we're going to hang out through the pick, probably a little bit longer through that first round, as long as it remains interesting. Certainly, if the Patriots, there's rumblings that they might trade back in, we're going to be here for you. We're probably going to pass the baton over to Pat's Nation, the Pat's Pulpit guys as well, and they'll carry you through a portion of this. But you can hang here on CLNS Media for the next couple of hours, and honestly, you'll be doing fine with a ton of draft coverage. Mike Kadlick is going to join us. Also, Zach Cox. So we have a full slate of people. We're also going to hear from some of the plethora of guests that Taylor Kyle spoke to over the past couple of weeks, covering the draft experts from RG3 to Mina Kimes, Robert Mays, all sorts of different people get their take on what the Patriots should do. But right now, Taylor, this could be a fait accompli. Unless you think whatever you were screaming about Mike Reese right before we got there trumps this, I'm going to do the Pelissaro report.
Yep, go ahead.
Okay, so Tom Pelissaro reporting, NFL's Tom Pelissaro reporting, all signs point to the Patriots staying put. They fielded all their calls. They fielded all their offers, drafting Drake Maye at 3. What does this mean? Nothing. But because this was the assumption all along, and honestly, if you're the Patriots, this is what you want everyone to believe an hour prior to making the pick, even if you're not 100% certain you're taking Maye. And it is really a matter of how much would it take to move them off this spot. They need a quarterback. They want a quarterback. All signs are pointing to it. But also, Taylor, we have to recognize that it's possible. That's what they want to put out there, because they want to be overwhelmed. They want someone to say, screw it. Here's 3 first rounders and my number and my X receiver. Like, I'll give you all of it. And maybe you get that Godfather offer and maybe you move. But if they don't, and if it's the stuff we've heard, 6, a second, next year's first, I do not think they move off of this spot unless everything that we've heard to this point is not clear. So again, how you feeling about this? You want to share your little Mike Reese nugget, or you want to talk about this first?
Yeah, you want me to throw it on the screen real quick?
Yeah, you can do that. I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah, so according to Mike Reese, who's at the Patriots event with all the fans and everything, Mayo said, I hope you're excited as I am to start putting the team together and getting out there on the field. We're going to get a great player at 3. It's going to be early, and we can always sneak back into the first round. It sounds like he knows what's going to happen, and we already know that Gerard loves him some Drake Maye. He was saying during the NFL's annual league meetings how much, Drake has no ceiling. This is a guy who's relatively inexperienced, but he's still going to develop. And everything you've heard from reporters has indicated that Gerard Mayo loves him some Drake Maye. Guy's got a pretty good eye for talent. So obviously at the end of the day, like Macro's been saying, it's going to be a team effort, and it's going to be him, Wolf, and then also Matt Groh really making the decision. But if he's saying this to the fans, I don't think Gerard's trying to get the fans all in a tizzy and then pull the rug out from under him. It sounds like whatever calls they've gotten, they know they're not going to hear anything that's much better. So, obviously things can change. You never know. Maybe a team throws a Hail Mary that they don't expect, but sounds like Drake Maye's going to be a Patriot. And I am freaking fired up, man. This is what we've been waiting for.
Yeah, and so again, let's, just going through it, I think this has always been the most probable and the most likely scenario. There's a piece of me that wondered along the way if there was some potential Jayden Daniels misinformation being put out there, because what I don't get is Maye was the consensus number 2 basically midway through the year. I know Daniels played great and he's a late comer and, definitely turned some heads, a la Joe Burrow maybe, there's okay, whoa, what do we got here in this guy? But I don't believe that people who liked Drake Maye entering this year like him that much less. Maybe they wanted to see him ascend to a higher level of production, but he's the guy that everybody thought had the tools to be the consensus second quarterback coming off of, coming after Caleb Williams, who's been, the consensus number one pick in this draft for a couple of years now, and everybody's kind of known that's the case as well. I guess I wouldn't be shocked if Washington pulled a fast one and went with Daniels, but it really does feel like this is the way the board is falling, and that's how it's going to be. And again, you like Maye, but he gets some criticism. And here again is Taylor's kind of overall look at. You go through some of the strengths and weaknesses here, Taylor.
Yeah, so we start with the athleticism. The guy's 6'4", 223 pounds, like prototypical size. Obviously, he's a little bit lanky, but he's got a good enough build where it's not quite like Jayden Daniels where you're worried about his frame. But on top of just, his build, the guy's an underrated athlete. Last season in 2022, he led UNC in rushing, which is crazy for a quarterback. I also believe over the past 2 seasons, only Jayden Daniels has been more productive as a rusher. He's got a really good instinct for when to scramble, like if guys are covered or the rush is caving in. Sometimes he does it prematurely, but for the most part, I think he does a really, really good job of knowing when to tuck the ball. And it's scary because you see with Mahomes all the time where when guys are covered, he has that knack for always like getting just past the first down marker. Maye's a guy where when I'm charting him, he's mostly just scrambles down the middle. Like he's not so athletic that he's dynamic when he's moving sideline to sideline necessarily as a runner. But if you let him move up into the A gap or the B gaps, he's routinely getting like first downs at least, usually explosive gains and just chunks of yards. So that's just him as an athlete. Then you look at the arm talent. Like this is a guy who, if you watch him against Clemson, there's a play where he's drifting away from pressure, like you see with all these great quarterbacks where teams just try to blitz the hell out of him so they can't really do a whole lot and have to stay in the pocket. And one of the more popular plays that these guys make, like Jordan Love, Mahomes, Josh Allen, is they drift back to buy time for their guys to win deep, and then they chuck it downfield and burn you. And that's exactly what he did on that play. Got away from the rush and just threw it while on the run. It was a dot like 50 yards down the field. He doesn't have a Josh Allen, Justin Herbert kind of arm. Like those guys are elite, like different level. But Drake Maye is going to have one of the better arms in the NFL from day one. And then when you talk about the IQ, it sounds kind of funny because I'm going to get into his processing. So it's like, all right, if you
So that's where I want to get. Because you like the IQ, the mechanics we know, and the footwork and the over-aggressiveness for sure. But that's what I wanted to get at here. You have IQ in the pros, and then in the cons, the processing. All the things here, the thing that tweaks me the least is like the mechanics over aggressiveness. Footwork you can work on. Over aggressiveness is just simply a lot of quarterbacks come into the league that way.
You learn what you can and can't do.
Yeah, and I'd rather you're trying to figure out what you can do, and the NFL is going to teach you quick, how fast everything goes, how quick those windows close, what you can get away with. That's a learning process that you expect everyone's going to go through. The processing is the thing that kind of scares me because I don't know that fixes itself. So how concerning is that?
So that's why there's a difference. So the IQ I put because he understands one, like, so if you want to start from the front, he routinely gets away from pressure where if there's a blitz coming or, one of his tackles loses really quickly, you can tell he can sense it. And that's where you hear a lot of criticism about how he drifts in the pocket. Most of the time, it's because he's getting away from rushers. And that feel and understanding is something that not a lot of quarterbacks have. So the bad part is sometimes he'll overstride. So he'll try to get away from the pressure, but he'll take these long steps and end up right behind his tackle. And then that tackle gets pushed into his lap. So there's that one. He has a good understanding of where pressure is coming from. On top of that, a lot of these quarterbacks you see, and part of this is arm talent, but it's also understanding how to throw over the ball. Because you see, J.J. McCarthy is really the only quarterback in this class who routinely attacks over the middle of the field. But even for him, he can't really throw outside the numbers consistently yet. So he more does it because that's just his game. Drake Maye is the only quarterback other than Caleb Williams who you will see regularly throw inside or outside depending on what the coverage gives him. So if you're playing cover 2, where the deepest defender in the middle of the field is usually a linebacker, he'll read that linebacker and throw down the seam to the guy who's less covered. If it's cover 4, where you have the 4 guys who are trying to play the deep part of the field, if one of those safeties in the middle is playing too shallow, you see over and over again on film, he'll throw it right over their heads. Or if you see just a single high coverage where he knows he's got a one-on-one matchup, he'll throw the slot fade, he'll throw the go ball. He understands how to attack different types of coverages, and it looks, I don't want to say natural necessarily, because I don't know where he got it from. But looking at the film, it does feel like he just has that instinctive knowledge. Now, going to the processing, the difference here is that sometimes, and this has to do with the fact that his offensive line wasn't very good. It has to do with that kind of air raid system where it's not like the West Coast, where the West Coast is predicated on anticipation. And it's routine, like this step you're going here. If that's not open, this step means you're going here. With the air raid, it's more about kind of getting open and attacking space. So it's harder to really process on a consistent level, especially with Josh Downs wasn't on the team last season. The receivers weren't very good. Tez Walker was okay, and it'd probably be a 4th or 5th round pick. He didn't even play for like 8 games. So it was hard in the supporting cast for him to really take that next step as a processor. But you did see there were times where he would go too fast, where he's looking at his one, the guy isn't even close to getting open, but you see that, all right, it's off coverage, just take another tick and throw, and he's not getting the ball out. He's going somewhere else. And then because he's so fast, it kind of throws off the timing where it's like, all right, now I'm going back to this guy. He's already covered, and he'll hold on to the ball for too long. So that's kind of the difference, where sometimes it's just too fast, and he's just kind of going at a pace where it's not productive. And also part of that is the fact that RG3 talked about that, so I won't get too into it. But his eyes and his feet aren't really tied together consistently, and you want that because if your eyes say, oh, this guy's open, then you'd like your feet to be in a position where you can immediately throw. A lot of the time, his feet have to catch up to his eyes, and he's throwing a tick late, and that kind of messes with the flow of the play. That's the kind of thing you learn with experience. If you get a good offensive line where he doesn't have to worry about drifting and the protection and all that, he gets rapport with the group of receivers and starts to understand the game and have it slow down for him. That's where you'll start to see more of that processing is more efficient because he has the structure and he has that comfort. And he's only been a starter for 2 years. Like, again, he's not a very experienced guy, which is why when you look at the IQ and you look at how he plays and the way he does have some innate understanding of the field, it's really impressive. And I just think if he gets more playing time and gets a coach who can really teach him fundamental rules to go by, he's going to be a phenomenal player. I'm going to put him, when he gets drafted, I'm putting him on my roster breakdown as an all-pro caliber talent. I got a lot of crap for doing that with like Marte Mapu last year because I loved him a lot. And
Don't say that name to me, okay?
Okay. I did it with Gonzalez too.
We're getting along so well right now. We're getting along so well. Don't say that name to me.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
I'm sorry. All right. Let me keep the peace. But like Drake May is immediately going to go into all pro caliber because he has the physical tools. He's a smart guy. He's young. And I do think that Alex Van Pelt, TC McCartney, we don't really know what he provides yet. But I know Alex Van Pelt is going to be heavily involved in the quarterback room, like a Bill O'Brien, like a Josh McDaniels. And I think he's going to be able to teach him those certain rules for the offense to give him structure, give him consistency. And then he can start playing faster and be like, all right, I can do this, I can't do that, et cetera, et cetera.
So there it is. Again, it's I know you got there with Maye as your guy. I don't know that he was always your guy, right? It took a little bit to kind of get on it, and he is a polarizing player in the sense that, like, and again, you take big swings, you might end up with big misses, and this is what the Patriots need at this position. You got to take a big swing, and I do think you want ceiling over floor here, but he's such an interesting player because he probably has as high a ceiling as anyone, but as low a floor. When people talk about the range of outcomes with Maye, when you're hearing, and again, maybe there's an agenda here, but when you're hearing guys like Merrill Hodge say things like Zach Wilson, and this is the type of guy that's going to get you fired, Merrill Hodge's been right about a lot of stuff. I'm just going to say that. But
what other than Baker, though? Like, I feel like his career is living on the back of that Baker, or no, I'm sorry, Johnny Manziel. The Johnny Manziel take. Everyone goes back to it. It's like ESPN doesn't even have that same set anymore.
You hate hearing it. I'm not saying it's right. We have differing opinions now. Taylor had a bunch of different guys on the show, including Robert Griffin III, who knows a thing or two about a thing or two, certainly quarterbacking, and he had this take on, and let me make sure I got it queued up, this take on Drake Maye.
My opinion does the opposite of what coaches in the NFL coach you to do. Not in a bad way. Drake doesn't read with his feet. Yeah. He reads with his eyes.
Right.
Okay, so because he's doing that, sometimes his feet are out of whack, which can then affect his accuracy at times. But it's not like so egregious that it's not fixable. Okay, so I give Drake Maye grace this because if you were to look at Troy Aikman's feet when he was with the Cowboys, right? One of all-time great Cowboys. And you compared him in his prime to the way that Aaron Rodgers' feet are in his prime. You'd be like, okay, well, one of these guys is wrong, right? Because A-Rod's footwork is completely different than Aikman's footwork, but it worked for that guy.
Right.
So I'm interested more so for Drake, not to say, oh, man, his feet are all over the place. It's like, well, people said the same thing about Aaron Rodgers, and now everyone's copying him because they see that it works. I want to see if what Drake does is what's best for him.
Okay.
So when he gets into the NFL and he gets that NFL coaching, do they realize that, okay, if we try to clean up his feet to make him look like someone else, is that really what's best for him? That's what I'm more interested in because everyone will tell you, hey, if your feet are off, your accuracy is off. And sometimes that's true. Sometimes that's true. But it's really more so about having a consistent throwing base.
So there you have it. You got Drake. You got RG3 borrowing Joe Sway's, podcasting equipment apparently for that hit with Taylor. Some distortion. That's okay. We don't mind. But what we're excited about is being joined by Mike Kadlick, who's here as we are talking about NFL Draft Round 1 to begin tonight. And Mike, really all we've talked about from this point all the way through to you joining us is starting with the Tom Pelissero report. It's all they fielded their offers, nothing doing in terms of a trade. I still don't believe that that's true, though. The most likely scenario is staying, but a Godfather offer moves them. They just haven't gotten it yet. I think. And then Gerard Mayo. Yep. We're going to get a great player at 3. Also, could be just BS misinformation. We want everyone in the world to think we're standing pat. The more I hear this stuff, the more I think they really want somebody to open the vault and give them a ton of picks and capital and possibly a player. And I would think multiple firsts, including one this year that isn't that far from 3, plus a player.
So then you're not sold on the fact that it's May. You're still chopping, thinking that they're just going to try and waiver. So, I think at this point,
I don't believe anyone. I don't believe anyone about anything ever. Okay, I don't.
Yeah, John's been through it. So
it doesn't benefit. It doesn't benefit you. The most likely trading is hard. So the most likely scenario is staying put. But I don't believe they're set never. I still believe it's possible. I just don't know that it can happen. I don't think their mindset is, under no circumstances would we ever trade. We love this guy so much. We're staying here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, look, I'm sure that as of right now, right, they're probably set on their pick, but they're not going to go on the clock and not answer the phone. They're not going to, pick it up just in case. I'm sure they're still going to keep their.
Elliot or Jonathan? Who answers the phone?
So Patriots.com posted some photos, and there was a tab that said Elliot on the phone. So, hey, I think the main phone is Elliot for right now. But no, look, even when just speaking at the Fan Fest, right? Gerard Mayo basically said, and we got people in the closet behind me. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, perfect. Dude, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, have you listened to the Garden Report ever? It's
yeah, fair point.
Monkeys banging cymbals in the background, and we're trying to get through it.
So look, Gerard Mayo says even at this party right now, we're gonna take a great player at 3. He doesn't have his head coach media hat on in that moment. I think he's just kind of talking to the fans. So he didn't, I think when he's sitting there and saying, hey, we're going to take a guy at 3, he basically knows that, look, this is the plan right now. Now, again, like I said, they're not going to pick up the phone, but at this point, I mean, what else is going to waver? What else is going to change their mind on taking Drake May? I mean, it's 7:30. They pick in less than an hour. It's all lining up that way. Jayden Daniels is going to go 2 from what it seems. And Drake May is going to be a Patriot. I also don't believe that. That's what's going to throw the wrinkle in it. And I tweeted this earlier, right? Everyone expects Jayden Daniels to go number 2. It's written in stone right now. It seems obvious. If Drake May goes number 2, then it gets interesting. Then the draft starts at 3 because then the Patriots pick up the phone. Then they maybe pivot to McCarthy. That's what throws the whole wrench into this thing. And is Drake May going number 2 to Washington?
It's possible. And it's possible that me or people I know, or maybe all of us, threw down a little bit of action on the Caleb May Daniels top 3 at plus 1,700. It's possible we did that because I don't think it's beyond the realm of possibility, but we don't know, right? And so let's talk about it. Let's throw out the hypothetical. Hold on 1 second. Oh, sorry. Let's throw out the hypothetical. If it happens, you've all kind of moved yourselves over to, and Mike, just ask your opinion.
Yeah.
In an either or, are you a May guy?
As in either him or
Both.
it's Drake May. I'm still Drake May all day. I would
You
take
are.
Drake May at 2. Patriots have the number 2 pick. I'm still taking Drake May. 100%.
You are.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. And Taylor, you're in the same boat?
Oh, hell yeah. I've been in the same boat.
Yeah.
Oh, give me a break.
It's Taylor's boat. I'm just the passenger.
I'm going to be right this year. I'm getting picks right. And it's going to start with Drake May, and then it's going to be Kingsley Suamataia, and then it's going to be Javon Baker, and you're all going to be sorry for making fun of me.
I'm
getting flashbacks.
I have every receipt. Okay, so Taylor likes Drake May no matter what, 2 or 3. Mike likes him. What does Zach Cox like?
Hey.
Is what I would like to know.
Gentlemen, hello. Thanks for having me.
What's up, Zach?
What's going on?
Thanks for being here.
I like Drake May. I've been Team Drake May for a good while now. I think everything is going to, seemingly based on everything we're hearing now, is going to fall in a positive direction for the Patriots there. I think trying to trade back and do anything like that just would have been trying to get too cute. I think you stick there, you take Drake May, you bring him along slowly if you need to, which it sounds like you might need to, but I think you have a pretty good setup to bring in a guy like that who does have the ceiling of potentially, if he reaches his potential, he can be one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, and that's what you need if you're drafting a guy that high in the draft.
Is everybody's, out of curiosity, is everybody's, kind of lean towards May in this scenario? And again, I don't think the Patriots may not have a choice the way it looks like it's going to break down. It might just have to be May if Daniels goes too. But is everybody leaning May here because of the ceiling or because of concerns over Daniels? Again, in an either or universe in which you had your choice, what is it that separates the two? Is it you believe, as Zach just said, that May could end up being one of the premier quarterbacks and Daniels could not? Is Daniels a riskier pick? Is there something about his skill set you don't like as much?
Taylor?
I'll start it off. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
I do think Daniels is a riskier pick just based on the physical attributes in terms of strictly his frame. He's still a very skinny guy. There was just a report, I think Brian Kelly just said a couple of minutes ago, that he was 175 or 170 pounds when he arrived at LSU, which means he's put on a ton of weight in the last, 2 years. And even when he did that, that was still an issue for him. I am not anti Jayden Daniels by any means. I think if he's the quarterback that is there at 3, I think that would still be a good pick for the Patriots. I think if the Patriots were trying to compete this season, I think he would also probably be the better pick because I think he'll be a little bit more NFL ready than Drake May, which he should be because he's 3-4 years older than him. But if this does seem to be a long-term, long play for the Patriots, I don't think they're realistically expecting to be a playoff team this season. And I think the ceiling down the line with Drake May, I still like that a little bit better than the Jayden Daniels package.
And I want everyone else's take here as well. I just want to say that I don't believe competing this year is something that matters, and no. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter to the Patriots. It shouldn't matter to fans. I'll date my boomer ass here, but I think the Drew Bledsoe comp, and the last time the Patriots picked this high was in 1993 when they took Drew Bledsoe number 1 overall, is the perfect situation for the quarterback that you're going to bring in and let them kind of grow into the role. Bledsoe takes the starting job a little bit later in the year when the season's over. There's no expectations. No one's worried about wins and losses at this point. You're just excited you got this new toy. And then they rattle off a bunch of wins. I think it was 5 wins to end the season, but they still missed the playoffs. It's not even close. They end up with the number 4 pick the next year. They take Willie McGinnis and they start rolling towards, a Super Bowl appearance in a couple of years. And this is how it goes, is you kind of want a couple years to really restock and overhaul with high premium picks. I think the best case scenario is suck. for a bit, and then let the kid come in with no pressure, and whatever happens, happens. And I think you're fine. So I don't think there should be any concern with, and I don't think anybody should be worried about win now, regardless of which quarterback you're playing there. Even if Daniels is more NFL ready out of the gate, I still think you want to play it that way. Run it with Jacoby and wait for a bit. Let the kid go in there when there aren't, the massive expectations. But Taylor and Mike, what do you guys think in terms of the Jayden?
Well, one other thing. Yeah.
Oh, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
You got it, Mike.
No, you were going to say something about the win now thing. So
Yeah, I think you want to suck in the wins losses column. I don't think you want to suck on the field. Like there's that fine line where
difference. You don't want to last year suck. You want to with promise suck. You
I think you want the offense.
You want to see
like
the
offense is
right.
below average, but it's not legitimately bottom of the barrel in the league. That's all I want.
You can see hope. There's okay, there's things to build on here.
You see what's happening here. Exactly. But what about Mike? What do you think of what when comparing the two?
Yeah, the other thing with Daniels that just kind of I don't even want to call it worries me because there's examples on both ends, but he's really had 1 year of incredible success, right? Heisman Trophy, 50 touchdowns, 3,000 yards plus, right? But before that, he was, a pedestrian, solid quarterback for LSU and Arizona State, where we've seen a few years of Drake Maye play really good football. And like I said, there's two examples, right? Joe Burrow had one really good year with two great receivers, and look at Joe Burrow. But right, exactly. Yeah. Then there's Mac Jones, Mac Jones had one really good year with really great receivers, and look how that turned out. There's a little bit too much volatility there. I wonder how that translates for Daniels at the next level, where we've seen more of it just with Daniels. And yeah, I mean, like Zach said, Daniels could probably be better now. I think Maye's ceiling is higher in the long run. I think if you get him in here, you have him work with Alex Van Pelt. Taylor, we've talked about this on your show ad nauseum, the footwork guru. Get Drake Maye's feet right, and he's going to be a star. He can make every throw. And sometimes people hate that saying, but he can make every throw on the field. He can make plays of his feet like Josh Allen can. He is a different beast if you hone in his mechanics. And so I just think it makes too much sense for them with what they have in Van Pelt's offense right now. I think it can be a slam dunk after this season once they, again, hone in on the feet and stuff.
Yeah. When it comes to Jayden Daniels, I would easily be able to talk myself into it if they ended up selecting him. So, all right. So we'll go to my scouting report. The rushing ability. He's going to walk into the league as one of the most electric scramblers in the NFL. Oddly enough, I actually don't think he's quite as dynamic on designed runs. I saw when they tried the quarterback, sweeps and all that stuff. He wasn't quite as good. But if you're playing man coverage, or you're in a zone defense and guys just get the hell out of there and you give him space, that's when he's really scary. And people think of him as more of a straight line runner. He's not. He's also very elusive. Now, that also turns into him, kind of having – that's why I say discount Lamar with death wish, because I don't think he's consistently accurate as Lamar. And also Lamar, if you look at him play and run, he rarely, if ever, actually takes any big hits. He's very good about protecting his body, and I think he's more elusive. Whereas Jayden is elusive, but he'll also run head first into traffic. He'll try to jump over piles and do things that aren't responsible. Now, RG3 did say he's had conversations with Jayden and been like, all right, you got to cut that out. You're basically going to end up like me. And that's something he's going to work on. But going still the pros, the processing. I think that when you talk about Caleb, Daniels, Penix, the guys who really are ready probably to start from day one, he's definitely one of the better processors where, again, RG3 touched on it. I'm going to keep deferring to him because he's much smarter than I am. But the ability to sometimes skip progressions where you're going 1 to 4 instead of 1, 2, 3, 4 because he understands what the defense is giving him. That ability is why he's going to be able to play from day one, like Zach said. And then the deep accuracy. As a quarterback, that's where he really scares you. Because you saw when LSU had a bunch of receivers who could run in a straight line and kill you. And he was putting the ball on the money consistently. And with the rushing ability and the deep accuracy, it's just going to put defenses in a really hard spot where I think other parts of his game that still need to develop, and we think he will develop because he's shown that trajectory. He's gotten consistently better. I think he has a runway to still improve in those areas. Now, his age isn't a huge concern. Quarterbacks are playing into their late 30s. I don't think it's a huge deal that he's 3 years older than Maye, but it is a factor, and you do wonder, all right, how high is his ceiling? Personally, I think he's mostly floor, although a very high floor. We talked about the frame, very scary. He needs to protect himself. One of the bigger reasons that I differentiate him and Drake Maye, other than the age, other than the frame, Drake Maye, like I talked about, can be rolling out to his left or his right and throw dots very far down the field. With Jayden, you don't really see him throw downfield very often. And I think it's because partially his arm strength, which in New England, that's a big factor. You're going to have wind, you're going to have inclement weather. You'd see sometimes when he was trying to drive balls outside the numbers, they weren't really going there or getting there as quickly as you wanted it to, which leaves room for cornerbacks to make plays, get back in the windows. And when he's rolling out, he's running to run, not running to throw most of the time, because I just think it takes so much for him to get his body around and get everything into that throw, which can also kind of affect his accuracy. So for me, those are the really big ones where age, body type, and frame and all that, although like Drake Maye's not the biggest guy, but he is bigger. And that arm strength is why I think his ceiling is significantly higher, just because he can physically do more than Jayden, who is smart, who is athletic, and he's got better scrambling ability, but we're talking about a quarterback, not necessarily just a playmaker.
All right, let's rattle off a few other scenarios because, again, the smart money, you stay and May and pray. Is it possible someone else changes in there? That's fine. Let's throw out some buzzy things, just debris that's out there in terms of what else could potentially happen here. Part of it is this belief that there is some sort of craft-based obsession with JJ McCarthy, or maybe the Patriots are slow playing their interest in McCarthy. That's their guy they've been targeting all along. Do you believe any of this? Is there a world in which this is something that could be based in reality, Zach?
Well, according to multiple reports, there are people within the Patriots organization who like JJ McCarthy potentially even more than Drake Maye. And there's a lot to like about JJ McCarthy. I think JJ McCarthy is a good quarterback. I think he's a guy that you can win a lot of games with in the NFL, especially if you have a good team around him. I think I wouldn't be shocked at all if he comes in and has the best rookie season of any of these quarterbacks, depending on where he lands. If he goes somewhere like Minnesota, I think he could step in and very quickly be a very capable NFL quarterback. The comparison of, I think it was Jeremy Fowler from ESPN who said, the Crafts might like JJ McCarthy because he went to Michigan and he reminds them of Tom Brady, and they were trying to like find that connection. That didn't really make a lot of sense.
That's the silliest thing of everything that's been said, that the college Tom Brady went to, that one blew. Like,
they did have
this is what happens though.
This is what happens in
these final three or 4 days up before the draft.
Yeah, we're
it's both the clearest information and the craziest smoke screens. Like if you go back and look at some of the previous years of the narratives that were out there in the immediate lead up to the draft, there's just some ridiculous stuff out there. So I don't think that point really makes any sense. Again, I do like JJ McCarthy. I don't view him as basically, like I said before, if you're drafting a quarterback in the top 3, you need to think that he will be or has a very good chance to be potentially one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL within a couple of years. I think JJ McCarthy can be a good pro. I think he can have a very long career. I think he can be maybe a borderline top 10 quarterback, a guy that you're going to want to have on your team. But I don't think he has nearly the ceiling that someone like Drake Maye does. And that's why I'm much more Team Maye than Team McCarthy in this scenario, especially because, I mean, we'll see what happens in half an hour or so. It doesn't seem like you're going to be able to get JJ McCarthy at 11 or 15 or something like that. If that's the case, if you can trade all the way down there, get him then, and then stock up some draft picks, there's some merit to that, but I don't think that's going to be possible based on everything we're hearing.
And I want to get Taylor's take on McCarthy, but is there there's a Will Levis, Brady Quinn, Aaron Rodgers situation here of somebody that everybody expects is going high and then whoop, on it goes and on it goes. Even Fields, dropping a little bit further than some people thought it doesn't appear, because all that smoke is there's people coming for 3. And if they don't get it, they want to get to 4 to make sure that they get their guy. Possible that somebody unforeseen here really falls, and then you do start to talk about value, because if you're the Patriots and Maye and McCarthy are a coin flip and McCarthy looks like he's going to drop, all of a sudden these trades start to make sense a little bit.
They do. Real quick before you jump in, Taylor, they do, but you can't know that going in.
You can't know it.
We talked about before the show. about like nightmare scenarios. The nightmare scenario for the Patriots is trading back, expecting to get JJ McCarthy at 11, and then that not happening, and then you're left with no real plan at quarterback. So if there was some way that they could be certain that that would happen, I could see the argument for that. But that is the worst case scenario for the Patriots. Again, doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Trade down, the guy that you want to get with the trade down, someone swoops in and takes them ahead of you. So I think
do that.
Safe play is a smart play here.
You could only do that trading down and up, but your intel has to be rock solid, right? You go down to 11, and then you do whatever the hell it takes to get back up to 8, because that's where you think the cutoff is. That's the only way it works. But you can't just go sit there and wait and be like, oh, geez, I hope JJ is there, because that's dumb.
I almost think that to do that, you would need to have like a pre-agreement with Monty Austin Ford or somebody at 4 or 5 to get that, because then even if you get back to 8, somebody can take him at 6, can take him at 7. And if you're trading down to 11 and then back up to 4, what are you really netting out from that? Because it's going to cost you a decent amount to go back up to number 4. So it just seems like jumping through too many hoops. And the better idea is just, hey, sit there. If you like this guy, take him, and kind of simple as that. Close the book, get ready for the season.
Yeah.
One of my real nightmare scenario was basically just taking JJ at 3 with Drake Maye on the board. Because one, you don't take the guy who's standing right there and does have the upside to be, like I said, Pro Bowl, all pro caliber player, and you don't even get JJ at a value. Where from what I'm hearing, JJ isn't like a Giants quarterback. They're not really interested in him. So if we're talking about guys who might slide, it could end up being him. Where if the Giants don't like him, the Vikings are like, all right, we're just going to stay here because I don't really think anybody else is going to trade up for him. Like, if the Broncos going to trade up for JJ McCarthy, I'm not so sure. So at the very least, if you're going to trade out, I think Penix is probably their best option if you're talking about like a real good value pick, a guy who might be available kind of around 15, something like that. But I would just really, and I don't think it's going to happen now, everything we've heard today, but with the buzz about JJ, and I understand why he has advocates in the building. I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. People, especially in New England, and I understand why, a lot of comparisons to Mac Jones.
We don't need all of it. I
wouldn't do the whole thing. Yeah, no. But he is athletic. Like on the rollouts, he's way more accurate than I expected. He does make plays with his feet pretty consistently. He's one of the only quarterbacks in this class who does consistently throw over the middle, which just shows that he can anticipate and he can attack those windows rather than being kind of one-dimensional where you know where he's going to go. Although he kind of is, because throwing outside for him was kind of a dumpster fire last season for the most part. And the third down efficiency is something he doesn't get enough credit for. Because everyone makes it seem like, oh, just because they were run, pass, run, whatever, he wasn't doing anything. If they were running and then they got stuck in 3rd and 7 or like 3rd and 12, they're like, all right, JJ, bail us out. And he did it consistently. I think he had like the highest EPA per play on 3rd down of any quarterback in this class. That's saying a lot. It's basically like, hey, the pressure's on. That's like asking a guy who's been sitting on the bench to come on the court and like drain a 3, like a buzzer-beating 3. It's not easy. So at the same time, the arm is a bit of an issue. Like, he doesn't throw with touch. For some reason, he always throws kind of like Penix. It's just on a line. And sometimes it leads to great plays where it's like, ooh, that pretty back shoulder, or like, ooh, it's right over the guy's hands or whatever. But you also see that sometimes he needs to lead his guy and he tries to throw it and it'll hit a defender in the back. It's certain things like that. Also, the whole thing with him throwing left, all these guys have mechanical processing issues that they can fix. I don't want to dog him for that, but it is pretty jarring that almost any time he throws left or is throwing outside, there are issues. But yeah, I think JJ's a solid prospect, but not a guy that I think you should seriously be taking this early.
Yeah, and Zach, I know at some point you might have to bolt, and if you do, you can just wave bye-bye and then jump off the stream, and no one's gonna say anything bad about you if you do. But while we have you, we're gonna kind of move. I want to move down with the more hypotheticals here, because again, this is what we're talking about a little bit. Is you think you know, but you don't know. So let's say there is that trade down. What's the scenario you want to see play out here? I know Taylor mentioned, maybe a Penix, maybe a whatever. Zach, you mentioned it's dangerous to trade down for, McCarthy and not get him. But let's play out in a world where they're like, we're punting on quarterback. We're punting on this top tier of quarterbacks. Where do you want to see him go? What would you want to see him grab with the premium pick that they get in exchange for 3? And what do you see him want to do on the back end with whatever other collateral? Maybe pick up a Rattler, a Penix, or anything like that. Is there a scenario where you're like, I could live with this?
I don't think so, just because I think that there is a significant gap between that top tier of quarterbacks and that second or third tier, whatever you want to call it. The Penix is probably going to go at some point in the first round, but he scares me a little bit just with the age and with the injury history and with some of the kind of limitations of his game and the fact that he played in an uber talented offense last season. That's not going to be the case or would not be the case if he came to New England. I think the more interesting, not to like take your question in a different direction, but I think the more interesting trade possibility now is at the end of the first round for the Patriots. Because
that's on the rundown, Zach. We're getting to that. That's coming.
I know. I got to jump off in a couple minutes, so I just wanted to
yeah.
mention
that.
Quickly.
So Gerard Mayo said that in his party, we're going to get a great player at 3, but he also says, and maybe move back up, which again, a little TMI from Gerard at times. I don't know if it's real or not, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's not like they're tipping their hand, but I think a lot of people want to see that because that's the best thing, right, Zach, is I think the worst thing we witnessed was the Patriots staying at 15 and like, I guess we'll take a quarterback when they took Mac that year. You want to see a team like something and go get it, right? And Belichick would do that in later rounds. So absolutely, if there's that guy who they absolutely love, you want to see him get back into that first round because you need – the worst thing about this team right now is their 3 biggest needs are at the 3 most premium and expensive positions that you really need to fill through the draft. So you got to come away with 2 of 3 things, quarterback, tackle, or receiver in those first couple picks.
Yeah, I think pick number 2, if number 1 is, as we all expect now, a quarterback at number 3, I think that second pick, it has to be a tackle or a wide receiver. I think it's a pretty big miss if they don't land a player at either of those positions because everybody knows that those are that trifecta is their 3 biggest needs at the moment. It's a very deep tackle class, a very deep receiver class, but it's not a very deep class at a lot of other positions, which is why everybody thinks that there are going to be a lot of offensive tackles and a lot of wide receivers probably going in that like 10 to end of the first round range. So depending on how the board shakes out, if it shakes out favorably for the Patriots, maybe they go into day 2 saying, hey, there are like 4 or 5 tackles and wide receivers that we would be okay with taking here. We're just going to sit. We know that there's only one spot before they get to us at number 34. But if a lot of those guys get snatched up, then they could be sitting with the situation, say, all right, there's one guy left from that premium tier of either of those 2 positions. We don't know if Carolina or whoever could trade into 33 is going to grab him first thing on day 2. I think it makes all the sense in the world to be aggressive and move up a couple spots. Not going to cost you a ton to do that, most likely, depending on how far up into that first round you want to get. And then it also comes with the added benefit of the 5th year option and all of that. But I think more so it's if there's a guy there and you see a big drop behind him, be aggressive, go get it. Don't wait and hope that it happens and then settle for either a guy at another position or someone that you don't really feel too good about from a receiver or tackle perspective. So that's going to be, I think now that quarterback does seem to be settled. I mean, we'll find out in a couple minutes. I think that's going to be the more interesting sort of sideshow for the Patriots here tonight. And then if there's any sort of trade involving a veteran wide receiver, because I know that there's been some chatter about that. Tommy Curran said a little while ago that they had some talks about Brandon Ayuk. Who knows what happens there?
And so was that on TV just now on their draft special? Because I'm seeing it make the Twitter rounds, and I think that's a really interesting thing.
An hour or so ago on NBC Sports Boston. He said nothing imminent, but that there have been discussions. Elliot Wolf said last week that they've had discussions about premier wide receivers and that they're still open to that possibility. So obviously, if you go out and trade for a guy like that, it makes it a lot easier on day 2 of the draft. You get your tackle, then you have all 3 of your biggest needs filled. So I think that's going to be the most fascinating thing to watch for the Patriots now, barring some sort of major surprise in the next 15 minutes or so.
I don't know if anybody saw it, but also Bill Belichick's big board, he has Drake Maye as the 5th best player and JJ McCarthy is 17th.
There you go. I don't know I don't know how I feel about that, but Zach Cox, I believe, has to go. Is that correct, Zach? He's got to go right.
I do.
He's got to go write 1,500 words on whether the three-pointers taken last night were contested or not contested. There appears to be a bit of a dispute between what Missoula thinks contested is and what your eyeballs say contested is with threes. But Zach is covering the Celtics right now, in addition to all of his Patriots work over at the Herald. That's correct? Through the playoffs
at the Herald at the moment, yeah, helping them out for their playoff run. And yeah, I will say that you mentioned earlier that it would add some excitement for fans if they trade back into the end of the first round. As someone who does not have to write about it this year, I would hate that much less than I would in most years, because that would be a pick that would be made at about 11:30 p.m. and would make for a very, very long night. So it'd be nice watching that from my couch. I'll say that.
Yeah. All right, Zach,
all right,
thanks for joining us.
Guys. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you
be
soon.
live the next couple of days. Anytime you want to join us, you're welcome. And Zach Cox, Patriots reporter, current Celtics reporter, dropping some knowledge for us. Thanks a lot, Zach.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Appreciate it, guys.
All right, we're going to bring in, look at that, Seamless.
Hey,
that was good.
Seamless.
Oh,
good stuff,
my God, did I time that? That's
so, yeah,
we're bringing Kadlick back, and some intel from the Patriots draft room is that Gerard Mayo and Elliott Wolf are expected to speak right after the pick, and right now it's still feeling like that pick is coming at the number 3 slot, which is really, at this point, let's call it about 20 minutes away, a potential franchise-altering move here for the Patriots.
It's all how different the feeling is when it's the third that you have, right? Like you start these draft shows on here, and you got to wait an hour or 15 to get to the 15th, 12th pick, even 30th pick that they've had, and now it's like, all right, draft starts, Kale's gonna go, and it really happened. This is fun. Like you said, it's 7:56, and we're getting right into it, and it's good stuff.
Yeah.
So we're gonna speak with Elliott Wolf, Gerard Mayo right after the pick happens.
Mike, the needle's skipping on your mic right now. I'm not sure what's going on. If you check the connection, it literally sounds here. I do want to tell you, while Mike tweaks his audio a teeny bit, our sponsor here for our Draft Central special show, now about to go into its second hour, is Prize Picks, #1 DFS app out there. You want to get in on the action? Again, football's a little ways away, but you're deep into the basketball playoffs right now, and this is the place to go. You download the app, Prize Picks, put in that code CLNS. It's 100% deposit match up to $100. The way you play, you go in, and again, you want to get involved in the NBA playoffs. Celtics, a couple days away here, Game 3 in Miami. Go pick more or less on your favorite players, or even players you can't stand. It doesn't matter. On anybody you want, and watch the money roll in, win up to 10 times your money. Once again, download that app. It's super easy to use. It's a ton of fun. It's Prize Picks, #1 DFS app in North America. Promo code CLNS, a 100% deposit match up to $100. Mike is tweeting or texting or doing something reportery. He's doing the Schefter. He's in there. What are we doing? We got you muted at the moment. Hold on one second. Unmute. Go for it.
It's been a rough couple days. No. You gotta laugh. No, but so you're talking about Belichick's coverage with Pat McAfee show, right? And you have his big board. He also has his team needs position by position. He lists the Patriots team needs as quarterback, offensive tackle, and cornerback, and doesn't have wide receiver in there. He will not do the wide receiver.
Safety, guard, punter. I can't do it anymore. I can't.
He's hilarious. He's funny, though. I hope he did that intentionally. I really do.
He must have. You have, because then you look at the big board, Taylor, right? Like you just mentioned it. He has Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors right at the top. So like he appreciates receivers. He just thinks the Patriots never need them. That's basically. I think
that was like the Julio thing where he was like, Julio's like a good player, but like we don't need that. It's like, okay, that's weird.
For the oldies out there, I'll throw out where would we play Willie McGee, and that's an old one. But anyway, it's a Lou Gormanism way back in the Red Sox days. But yeah, I mean, he's taken that to his grave. He is never going to ever accept that receivers matter. No. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
And did we touch on AJ Brown getting extended by the Eagles as well? Has that been touched on?
He made a lot of money. Jeez,
this is like the third the third draft night in like 5 years that AJ Brown has just, gotten a bag, because he got traded from Tennessee to Philly on draft night and then immediately signed a 4-year, $100 million extension. And now, amidst the trade talks or whatever it is for him, just gets another bag. So AJ Brown, man, he thrives on draft night one way or another. But putting an end as well to all of this, I guess, speculation about the Patriots. Patriots are still apparently looking to trade up and, get a receiver or trade for a veteran. Doesn't look like AJ Brown's on their board anymore because he just got paid from Philly. So
that's all right. Ayuk's better anyway.
I would prefer Ayuk.
Honestly, they're different. I just think they're different. They're both fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't actually think they're better. But
I would 100%. Prefer Ayuk. I would. Okay. I would. So again, we're really close. 8 o'clock. So we're up here technically. Caleb Williams
is already dancing. So if there was any, doubt of who's going to go first overall, he made that pretty obvious.
Yeah. So he's been dancing and he's there. Again, we all pretty much know it all begins at 2. Who's tipping picks tonight? Everybody tipping picks? Is
Ricky's
that what we're doing?
Picks, I hope. Pretty Ricky. Do you know Pretty Ricky?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if Pretty Ricky's he thinks JJ McCarthy's going 3. That's the latest intel from Ricky.
That was, hey, he's not perfect. None of these insiders are perfect, but Ricky announced Amon-Ra St. Brown and AJ Brown. Amon-Ra St. Brown and AJ Brown. Yeah, I did. Well, there's 2 Browns, but he actually did have them both before anybody reported it. So he knows his stuff. He was just, he's off. No one bats 100.
Yeah, no doubt. And sorry, I'm communicating with our producer, Amit. Poor Amit, you lit his ass on fire, Mike.
I know.
when we got the news of the press conference just happened after, he had to friggin' gun it.
I gave him a buzz right before I came back.
He's working under the table where Taylor is right now, just sitting there like, and he had to get up and get out, which is good. But again, draft is here, beginning at 8 o'clock, and the Patriots.
So Zannis, are you still on board? You still think they're gonna? Do you still think there's a real chance they trade the pick at 8:01?
Here's the thing. It's never about, it's always like, I told you they weren't going to trade him. It's not that I think they're going to trade the pick. It's that I don't believe they're 100% keeping it. I absolutely think there's a world in which they do it. And it just hasn't presented itself yet, but like, nothing is untradeable. Again, some team loses their minds, and some of these, this is why this happens. Like, we've seen it now time and again. It's more likely to get more expensive, not less expensive, even though teams have gotten burned recently with those big move up the boards with the Trey Lance or the whatever, Trubisky, what have you. If you can't win without a quarterback, you got to get it. If you are in love with somebody and you look at yourself and you're like Minnesota or the Giants and you're like, I might never be within striking distance of doing this again. I got to get there. What is it worth to you? Like, put it this way. What is it worth to you to get a franchise quarterback for 15 years? It's worth 5 first-round. It's worth any price you pay.
If it hits, the price does not matter.
It does not matter right. If you hit. It just sucks when you bust it bad. But the reality is 40%, 50% of these guys are going to be at best league average or might not even make it to a second contract, even when they're picked this high. So everyone's taking a risk. You got to jump up there and take that big swing. And some teams recognize the only way I'm going to get relevant again is if I get this guy. So they'll do it. Giving away draft capital if you're Minnesota and you've got other positions and players ready, and you have receivers and you've got a decent infrastructure there and you think you could bring in a guy and do the whole rookie contract growing with them and pay my stars. That's very enticing if you think you can find him. So yeah, I absolutely believe some team might freak out late and come for it. And Patriots have to consider it. Again, it depends how ridiculous the deal is. I think everything that's been mentioned to date is not enticing enough. The 11, 23 and next year's first probably falls short because you're going to get 3 good players, but you're probably not going to get your quarterback, and who knows when you're, so it's got to be a lot. Because again, how often are you here, right? Like,
and here's
how often are you in a top 3 spot?
If you do hit a bag, even if you get the bag, right, you get like the 5 first-round picks, whatever. if you want to move back up, you have to give up most of that. So that's my issue with the whole like getting the bag thing. It's like, all right, but if you want JJ, unless they're sold on Penix and they're like, we'll take him at 11. That's feasible if they want to do that. But if you want JJ, then it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because what are you maybe getting like one extra first-round pick or like one extra future first-round pick for a significant drop in the quality of your quarterback's potential? I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, probably not. Probably not. We have talked about pretty much every potential scenario here. The one we didn't really discuss, and I don't know that it's relevant here, is this whole like Jonathan Kraft heavily involved thing. Do you believe there's anything to this beyond maybe phrasing of like heavily involved really just means in the loop?
Yeah.
Or do you believe that it's happening? And that would be interesting here because I know you have the whole is who's in charge? Why hasn't Elliott Wolf been named a GM? Reports that they're going to go looking to hire a GM or interview for a GM after the draft. All of that is a little bit unorthodox. And also the Crafts have said time and again, no, we're not absolutely not going to be one of those groups that football personnel people, ops people make the decisions. Do you think there's anything to this at all? And if so, how would it impact what happens here?
Taylor, I know this is your favorite subject, but I'll take it first. So you guys got me all good, right? Sorry, my computer keeps going.
Yeah, you're great.
All right, perfect. Sounds good. So yeah, no, my read on it, right? And me and Taylor talked about this a little bit the other day on Pat's Daily is, okay, this at the end of the day is the team they own, ownership owns, and they should have an overarching look at what's going on in football operations. Now, should they be sitting there grinding tape? No, that's not what it should be. But the way that they were able to sort of let Belichick go and do his thing and not really care, they can't do that anymore. So that is one fact of it. And then the other thing is you see the Rossini report the other day where Jonathan Kraft is heavily involved. And then you have Seth Wickersham's reporting from a few months ago that Jonathan Kraft and Robin Glazer are going to be running the football operations, or people thought that would happen. And what I said to Taylor the other day is that Wickersham's never really been wrong. So he's never really been wrong. Rossini's been on this, like Wickersham, but he does his spin. So he spins it and he does his journalistic thing. He's colorful with the way it happens. We saw it with the Gerard Mayo baseball bat analogy when it was really a mini Tykes thing. But regardless, right? So there's something to ownership having their eyes on what's going on. And then both he and Rossini seem to have spun it into something that I don't think it is. So long story short, they're probably a little bit more involved than they were during the Belichick era. But I think that's okay because they're now moving on from this 20, 25-year regime that Bill built up himself and was able to have the trust to do. And now they have to be a little more heads on, and they have to just make sure that, their multi-billion-dollar baby is going to be taken care of with what is probably going to be a multi-billion-dollar a $500 million decision if they take the quarterback and hit on it at number 3.
Yeah, so my thing is, one, after Diana reported that, everything you heard afterwards was kind of backtracking from Diana, from Tom Curran, from Albert Breer. And that's basically what I thought it was, is that, yes, they're going to be present, like you said, Mike, because this is their organization. It makes sense for an owner who's overseeing a complete rebuild, like literal ground up rebuild, to want to know what's going on. If anything, I think people would be criticizing them if they were just in another wing of the building and didn't care what was happening during the draft. If anything, if you were the steward of this, organization, that'd be pretty weird. If you weren't like, no, I want to make sure that I'm in the loop at least. I don't think they're making decisions. I think, and then it's all like, oh, Robert Kraft wants a quarterback. Everybody wants a quarterback. Elliott Wolf has said it. Gerard Mayo said it. Like, they haven't really shied away from the fact that they do want a quarterback. And that's really all that we've been hearing. And even Robert Kraft said, I'm going to trust the football people to do football people things. And I thought Tom Curran made a really great point where he said, the Crafts have owned a team and gone through the Parcells era where they saw what happens when you meddle and how badly it can affect your relationship with your coach and kind of sour the team. So I've had that happen before. It's so annoying. But they already know what it's like to have that happen. And then even with Bill Belichick, they weren't giving him full autonomy. They said when they parted ways with Bill, or Robert said, that it took a few years before he was like, all right, Bill's got this. I'm going to give him full control. He can handle this by himself. So I don't think there's anything that like Jonathan Kraft is going to tell them to pick Drake May or not to pick JJ. If anything, maybe Jonathan Kraft's got a pretty good eye if he likes Drake May over JJ McCarthy. But I do not think that they're going to be like, no, I want this, because they've been doing this for a very long time. I think they understand, especially it's a first-year head coach and a potential long-term general manager. Let them do their thing. If you're going to trust them to do this and you think that Bill was the problem, then see what they can do. And if they mess it up really badly, then yeah, you clean house, you get another general manager, you kick Elliott Wolf to the curb, or you put him in a different role, whatever, and you hope that Gerard Mayo pans out and can coach the team up. But yeah, I thought it was ridiculous that Jonathan Kraft would be the one telling them what to do, and that would be pretty weird and draconian of him. But yeah, I think the report that they are overseeing things, or that Jonathan is overseeing things, I think that makes complete sense, and I don't believe
probably accurate, and it makes some sense, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Ricky also admitted he was wrong about the Patriots taking JJ McCarthy. That's how you know it's real. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't believe any of the McCarthy buzz. I don't. Going back to where we were before, Tom Pelissero, at the beginning, just as we were hopping on, all signs pointing to the Patriots having fielded their offers and taking Drake May, most likely at number 3, assuming the board breaks the way it does. And have you guys checked out the scene in Detroit? It's freaking wild.
Yeah. I've always been sort of this like mindset that going to the draft is kind of like, the corny's not the right word, but it's probably just like an elbow fight, and like you're not really seeing anything.
Yeah, it's like people who hold like these viewing parties during the playoffs.
Yeah, but that's actually pretty cool. That looks pretty fun. Wild. And it's Detroit, and Detroit's a blast, and they're on the up and up. Their franchises, so like
there's good vibes there.
There is great vibes in Detroit right now, so I think that's it's pretty cool. And like you said, the scene is kick ass.
Because they know that Detroit doesn't get a ton of opportunities like this. People have a very weird misconception of Detroit. I think everybody thinks it's just 8 Mile, which it's not. Like Detroit's an awesome city with very great.
No, there's casinos and Greek joints there too.
Right. But yeah, no, I just saw like the sea of people. This looks amazing. Also, the people they have on the stage, of course, the vibes are great. You got freaking Eminem, Barry Sanders, Aiden Hutchinson, Jared Goff, who I think is sneakily very good.
Barry Sanders, Eminem was a Roger Good. Eminem was a Barry Sanders. Was a Roger Goodell booing shield. The Goodell came out and it was booing, and then there was like, but it's Eminem, and everything changed there as well. As we said earlier, Gerard Mayo also addressing the Patriots draft party in Foxborough, and Gerard's going to talk, and we'll hear some of that as well. Patriots going to get a great player at 3, again, telling everybody we're not going anywhere, or telling teams who are interested in getting to 3, you have not yet met our price.
And for what it's worth, the draft is officially open. Roger Goodell has opened to the 2024 NFL draft, and the Chicago Bears are on the clock. Officially.
Look at that. It has begun. Underway. The NFL draft is underway. So not much drama here. What cracks me up is when there's a consensus number 1 overall pick using the full clock here.
I hope it's so I would love to know what the thinking is behind that. Are they just trolling? Just so annoying. Like some people.
It's their moment. I think
it is their moment. They also call the player and tell them that they've officially drafted them. But like, I saw something today where it was like the first team should get 1 second to turn in their card. The first team should get 1 second, and then the clock actually starts after that for number 2, because it's BS.
Didn't Dan Campbell turn his card in too fast? And they were like, whoa. I think when they got Aiden Hutchinson, they were literally like, no. Like, hold off. You're doing this.
Yeah,
too fast.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
Like, it is good. But yeah, you've been on the clock for months. So
why does the room look so dead? They don't look excited at all. That's kind of weird. Weird vibes in that room.
The Bears room?
Yeah, everyone's just sitting there like.
Because they're taking Jayden.
Oh my God.
Wouldn't that be something?
If I see Drake May next to a Commander sticker, I'm throwing myself off this ledge into my living room, and Liz is going to have to clean me up off the floor.
Yeah, no, it is good stuff. And again, it's happening. We're on it. And again, I would say on the long side, it's 30 minutes before the Patriots draft if everybody takes the full time. And again, you have to believe teams at 2 and 3 are going to absolutely wait it out till the last second to see who's calling and saying, all right, what about this? Because it's there. Let me ask you this. We don't really talk about it. Washington's just been assumed to stand pat and move on. Washington had a quarterback they kind of sort of liked, that they kind of sort of stopped liking as the year went on, there in Sam Howell. Could they live with a scenario where they didn't end up with one of the top 3 quarterbacks here? Because everyone talks about 3 as the spot to move to, and not a lot of people talk about 2.
I think that they've been shutting that down. I'm pretty sure Adam Peters has been like, nope, we're not moving, which is, I think, the biggest reason why nobody's talking about it. If they're adamant they're not going to move out of the spot, there's not a whole lot to talk about. And it's clear. I mean, it's not a mystery. I don't think they're going to go into the season with, who's the quarterback? Marcus Mariota? Is that their backup right now?
Yeah, it's Mariota now.
Yeah,
because they traded Sam Howell to Seattle.
Howell. Yeah.
But they trade Howell to Seattle. They bring in Marcus Mariota. The stars, the signs point to them going quarterback at number 2. But like, could they live with it? Like you said, John, like if they get the bag that we keep talking about to move up, I'm sure they could, adjust and make and live with it, because you have Cliff Kingsbury, a guy who's an offensive wizard. You have a bridge in Marcus Mariota who you can hand the reins to, if you will, for one season or whatever, and then try and reset next year. But ultimately, you need the quarterback. Like, can you live with a quarterback? Sure, you can live with a quarterback if you don't expect to win anything. But the way their roster's set up, they're not going to win until they hit on that quarterback. So it just pushes their rebuild another season down the line. They're going to be patient. They have a new head coach. They have a new GM. It's going to be a long thing, but take it while you're here. It's like the Patriots. You're up that high. Just take the quarterback.
All right. Well, what if season probably only has 15 to 20 minutes left on it? So moving back into this potential trade scenario, should the Patriots deal the pick, rank your quarterbacks after the big 3 that you would be comfortable taking and where you would be comfortable taking them. I assume both of you have McCarthy as first, as the next man up, right? Where would you be comfortable taking McCarthy if you were the Patriots, if that's what you ended up doing? Or would you say, he's my 4th guy, but I think you're getting much better value later on, so I would just wait at that point. What do you guys think?
So I've got JJ as my QB3. I would take him like inside of the top 15. Four. I'm sorry, QB4. My bad. Counting is hard. That's why I got into football. But yeah, I would have him as my QB4. I would take him at like ideally around, like, obviously inside the top 15, probably closer to like 7 or later, something like that. If they like end up trading with the Giants, let's just say, like, sure, I'd take him at 6. I wouldn't be thrilled about it because I'd like to get more capital. But yeah, he definitely is my definitive QB4. And I'll take him inside the top 15 because you got to pay the quarterback tax. And I think he is by consensus going to be that guy, and that's where he's going to be ranked with most people. So you're not really going to get him, I don't think, outside the top 10 realistically.
As far as JJ, go ahead.
Yeah. No. It's just shot at Caleb, just kind of hanging out, still waiting.
Yeah, they're still on the freaking clock. It's ridiculous. It's so annoying. But anyway, as far as JJ McCarthy goes, right? Like, he is also my QB4, but I do have Michael Penix like right on his heels. I think Penix is really right there, and they're sort of interchangeable for me. I originally had McCarthy 5th, and I fell in love with him just like everybody else did, and so I moved him up ahead of Michael Penix. But I do, like I said, still have Penix on his heels. As far as where JJ, I'm comfortable. I'm with Taylor at number 6. Like, I'm not taking him at number 3 because I think he can move back and still land him. But if you do get to 6, you get that quote unquote bag that we've keep talking about and mentioned 15 times now, and you like McCarthy enough, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with it at number 6 because there is the quarterback tax. You got to get him. You got to land him. Penix, call it top 13, 14, 15. If you can get back.
The Penix range is insane, right? I've seen
really
from 11 to. Again, mock drafts are mock drafts. They don't mean anything, but I've seen from 11 to 44. It's a wide range.
I don't think he's making it out of the first round because I think Bo Nix would have to go before him for that to happen, and that's not going to. So yeah, I think Michael Penix Jr. again, quarterback tax.
If Bill Belichick were still here, Bo Nix would be the quarterback that the Patriots would have. That's what I'm just saying.
I didn't even have him on my big board, and people were so upset. They're like, "What? You don't like not even Bo Nix?" I'm like, they haven't even shown any interest in Bo Nix. The quarterback needy team met with him at the combine and then never spoke to him again.
So McCarthy and Penix, both of you are in agreement there. You think it's close? Taylor?
Yeah, I'm right there. I think like with Penix, I'd say 11 or later, honestly. Like I think that he is the kind of guy who comes in, immediately starts, great locker room guy, has underrated athleticism where I think if he did struggle accuracy wise or something like that, he can make up for it. And just the deep accuracy and downfield accuracy in general is crazy. So I think because he can be an immediate starter and I think a plus starter for you, I think Bo Nix could be, but he's more of a projection. And I don't think he's got as high of a ceiling as maybe necessarily Penix. So yeah, he's definitely my QB
5. Okay. Can you live with those guys? Would you be disappointed? Let's say you ended up with Neighbors or, and Penix in round 1 instead of May. Like, is that okay for you? Or are you missing a shot at greatness here? Like how much what are you potentially passing up? Yeah.
If it's like Drake May didn't exist, then yeah, I'd be happy with Penix. But because he does exist, and if he's on the board, I would be devastated if they traded back and then it was Penix, because it's like you're getting a guy who's older, has injuries that have not only just like it's not the Bears are finally picked.
Pick is in. Yep.
Caleb Williams is a Chicago Bear.
There you go.
It happened.
Okay.
Yes, it has happened. Caleb Williams has been selected.
Yeah.
I like upsets. There it is.
And now
It's a surprise.
Washington can throw a wrench into everything if they
Now
take Drake May.
everything begins. This is what it's all about here. And this is a lot of fun. It's actually funny. This is probably the single moment that people have been waiting for beyond all, because whatever happens here determines what you do, or at least starts the domino effect here, starting with Washington on the clock. So it really is the beginning of the moment of truth. And honestly, the thing that's going to shape the Patriots franchise over the next, who knows how many years, let's say conservatively 3 to 5, potentially 10 to 15. If a quarterback hits, if you miss, you're reloading and you're coming back at this in a couple of years again. And that's that. But here we go. Now Caleb's doing he's doing the walk. He's ready.
He said something. I think he said something when he was walking.
He is
Gentlemen, I'll be back in 2 seconds.
I got
him on the stage. Yeah, he's pumping and everything. Yeah, good for him, man. Dream come true. Always beautiful to see.
He looks good.
What he's gonna work 13. Good. Yeah, he's gonna work 13. They have anybody work 13? I don't think so.
So there we go. Caleb Williams, which means Washington is on the clock, which is great.
I'm getting like bad feelings. I'm just nervous, man. I don't blow. If the Commanders gifting the Patriots a franchise player 2 years in a row would be phenomenal.
Well, so here's the thing: is like, do you think there's a huge separation between the two? Of I know you prefer May. Do you think there's a big separation?
I honestly do. Especially if you're looking at long-term outlook. I think Jayden's going to be a good player. I think he's going to be like a borderline Pro Bowler. I think Drake May is a guy who can consistently be in that. And I said like all pro. I don't think Jayden Daniels really has all pro ceiling. Maybe I'm wrong. But I really do think he's like right on the cusp of Pro Bowler. It's a lot of it is because of the arm talent. Like I just don't think he has enough to be a really special passer. I think he's more special as a runner and very good as a passer. Whereas right now you're talking about, oh my God, whoa, thank you so much. I had never seen a number that high on one of these shows. We are not worthy.
It's all right.
What's your plan?
These aren't American. It's okay. But anyway, thank you guys. Honestly, we do appreciate it. We will address this question. Plan for the 34 pick and trade up, trade down. Absolutely is something that we want to talk about. But right now, the focus is entirely on this. Anybody contributing super chats here, we're very grateful. It goes to the hosts, not the greedy CLNS overlords. So again, it is greatly appreciated if and when you do that, and it helps us kind of keep the train rolling and keep bringing you the free content here. But as we said, Caleb went 1, and Taylor, you were on your train of thought in terms of the McDaniels, the Daniels versus May situation.
Yeah, it's just the arm talent. I think it caps Jayden's ceiling to a certain extent. And I do think his rushing ability won't make up for it fully, but I think in terms of those dynamic, explosive plays, like you saw, I had more explosive plays than anybody in college football, even Caleb Williams. So I still think he's going to be a really good player. But again, I think Drake May has enough mobility to be a guy that does scare you as a runner as well, on top of the fact that he can make some really special plays as a thrower. I just don't see Daniels is very accurate, and I think he's smart, but I don't see the special plays in terms of like out of structure stuff where you're like, oh my God, like this guy can really kill you with his arm if you give him too much time back there. I think he's more of a rhythmic passer, and Drake Maye is that too, but I just think there's more examples of Drake. Like scrambling to your left and being able to throw downfield on a dot is something I've seen from Drake that I haven't seen from somebody like Jayden. And you don't see it from many people because not a lot of quarterbacks are even good throwing left, much less doing it on the run. So, yeah, I just think there is not right now. I think Jayden's probably going to be the better player for the next couple of seasons. But if you're talking about the end of their rookie contracts, I will be stunned if Jayden Daniels is seen as a better, more dangerous player, as a quarterback and overall player than Drake Maye.
So when it comes to this stuff, and again, for those who aren't familiar or well versed in Taylor's work, there's not a lot of people in the market or just period who really get down on the film and watch things on a granular level, who have a really strong understanding of things. All that being said, so are the people doing the work here who are making the drafts, and sometimes people are wrong. But when Taylor has his opinion, it's based in a lot of fact. In a lot of research, in my far less than expert opinion, the difference between those two guys to me,
Jayden Daniels to the Commanders, baby, let's go.
So that happened, but the difference between the two is I would have found Daniels more exciting, only because I've always wanted one of those guys. Like I love the game breaking. The person who can really break things open with their legs. And I honestly think he's a terrific pocket passer as well.
He really is. And I don't want
to
make it seem like
and so he's labeled as this guy who runs, but he's actually a pocket passer. Though again, he doesn't have the arm of Maye, doesn't have some of the other things there. But he is a guy who throws the football. We're bringing Mike Kadlick here. Washington Commanders select Jayden Daniels.
We're on the clock, baby.
Overall pick in the NFL draft, and it's happening here. We are officially on the clock. Kadlick is back. Any intel in and around the room? Any buzz? Or this is happening?
Just buzzing, baby. Just an interesting buzz. It's going as expected. Like we said, the Patriots are running the
boring
draft.
version.
The boring version. But yes, it's chalk. It's Caleb. It's Jayden. The Patriots are sitting at number 3 with Drake Maye in their face, and man, they better make it happen. They better just do it. Just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off. And I think they're gonna. At this point, I think they're gonna. I have no reason to believe that they wouldn't. There was
I'm ready to hit publish on the Drake Maye to the Patriots. I'm ready. It's going up immediately.
There was some buzz and whatever you want to call it, that it was down to JJ McCarthy and Jayden Daniels for Washington.
Wow.
So take that with what you will. And it's interesting to think, too, that, I'm just going to put this out there. JJ McCarthy is still on the board for the Patriots at number 3. They could do this. Look, I think it's going to be Maye. Everyone thinks it's going to be Maye. But the fact that Washington had JJ over Drake Maye, right, as has been apparently reported, the Patriots could, too. The Patriots love him. That's come out of that building several times, that he has people in that building. Now, having said all of that, I still think it's going to be Drake Maye. But
so this is a potential of the nightmare scenarios that exist. One of them is getting too cute. The other is just taking McCarthy at 3, which a lot of people are not going to be okay with. Let me get your pre-reaction to McCarthy at going 3 here to the Patriots.
Pre-reaction is they made a mistake because I would have rather them trade down. That's how I take it. And whether he'd be there or not, I don't know. Adam Schefter just reported that there's 0 chance the Patriots are trading the pick. So they are picking right now.
That's just what they want you to believe. Just what they want you to believe.
I'm insane. I'm going to be so unprofessional when the Patriots take
Joe Alt. Wouldn't that be something?
So now, do we want spoilers on the stream? Do we want spoilers on the stream as soon as we know? Yeah. Okay, I don't have it yet. We don't have it yet.
The chat's doing it.
Oh yeah, that's true. Okay.
Look, we live in the real world here. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not ESPN.
Yeah, we're not on cable. This ain't cable.
Yeah.
Nope.
This ain't
Yeah,
cable.
we live in the real world. When the info's
Yeah.
out, we're going to we're gonna talk about it here. I mean, look, again, as we said, most boring option all along, but it's kind of what we thought might happen here. And again, I will let you. At this point, it's Drake May. It's Drake May, or people are going to burn this MF down right now. They are going to burn it down.
So Zannis, where are you at? Are you shocked if they don't take Drake May right here? What's your feeling?
I'm shocked. I would be no, I would not be shocked. I honestly don't believe anything, and so nothing would shock me. But I will be. I think at this point in the draft, you got to take that swing, and it appears that May is that guy with the tools. And if they miss, they miss. But doesn't it make
Drake May?
Don't you find
It's Drake May? Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom. Pop champagne, baby. Woo!
Didn't you sweat for a second?
For a second, I thought JJ was going to be there.
I'm publishing right now.
Didn't you say, and there it is, breaking news, the Patriots have a quarterback. That quarterback is Drake May. That guy is the guy that everybody...
Drake May.
The Patriots need to send the Commanders a fruit basket. Gave him Christian Gonzalez and Drake May. Are you freaking kidding me? Two blue chippers. Woo!
Yeah.
I'm fired up.
The Patriots have a new quarterback. Okay, so let's dissect it. Now what? Now what do they do?
Now they're good. They're good again. Everything is fixed.
There's hope again. It's a reset from where we were with Mac, and that's okay.
Look, I guess the best thing is this. Whether May is good or not, nobody knows. I just think, and again, this will sound shitty, but I don't mean it to be, but this is a new regime. It's a GM that isn't being called a GM, a process that's being referred to as collaborative, potential ownership involvement. We're not really sure what's going on in the building there, so you don't know whether to have faith in it yet. So I guess part of the fear was just don't F this up, right? Like
exactly.
Sometimes it is that easy. And this is kind of it, is you take one of these three guys and then you pray they were the right guy. And you never know which one of this it's going to be. It's a chance that 1, 2, or 3 of these top 3 players is either going to bust or just not be what you thought they were. That's a risk everybody takes here. This is a guy who has all the talent, all the tools, and Taylor has liked, from day one. And that's what we got. We got him here.
I'm having an out-of-body experience. I'm so happy. The past week and a half have been a freaking nightmare trying to just compartmentalize the possibility of JJ McCarthy going over Drake. But I mean, look at these throws. That one, not necessarily, but in all seriousness. So I've already gone over what makes him so special, but I mean, the arm talent. So I've already talked about the physical tools. The biggest thing that Gerard Mayo has said consistently is that they wanted guys who were tough and they want leaders. L.A. Wolf has said the same thing. This is a guy, all 3 of his brothers, his mom and his dad, were exceptional athletes. I think his dad and his brothers all played, or 2 of his brothers and his dad played at UNC. His brothers played basketball. His dad played football. His mom was a really good high school athlete. One of his brothers, I think, played at Miami or something like that. Really athletic family. He was the youngest kid, which, you can underrate that, but you get that competitiveness and that obviously he's got good genes. On top of that, his teammates loved him, always talked about how fiery a competitor he was, all those kinds of things. Clearly a tough dude. One of my favorite plays when I was watching him was against NC State or Clemson. You can look at either game where they're down pretty significantly and there's not really a great shot at them coming back. And he's still firing passes and making plays to help them stay in the game. I love his makeup. I love the physical skill set. Obviously, the Patriots still need to get the best out of him, and they need to refine him so that all the admittedly very bad inconsistencies with the accuracy and with the mechanics, those are the reasons where you're saying, okay, he may need a redshirt year. But, you're hoping you bring all these guys in. Alex Van Pelt, who's had experience with so many different quarterbacks, putting quarterbacks in position to succeed, as we saw last year in Cleveland. They played 5 different quarterbacks, and they still managed to be a playoff team. They made the playoffs last year. They made the playoffs last year, didn't they? Yeah, they did, because Joe Flacco, they got blown out by Houston. But they still managed to be a playoff team through all the adversity they faced. So obviously TC McCartney is still an unproven commodity, but I do think that, they still need to get the offensive tackle. They still need to get the wide receiver. Like, they still need explosiveness on offense. But Drake Maye showed in college that he can make up for deficiencies elsewhere because he's such a talented player. So I'm going to pop a blood vessel in my neck, man. I'm fired up. This is awesome.
You're like Marte Mapu fired up. I love that. It's that good. No, I mean, look, it's the number one thing. And again, nobody ever knows. Okay. You just don't know. There was people didn't like CJ Stroud last year. And, and you never know, but Patriots fans, take a breath. Your long national nightmare is over. It does it mean it's going to be successful? No, but at least you got something to look forward to be excited about. That's something you can't say. We don't know if May's going to be good, but I'm telling you, the darkness, the dark clouds that have been over Foxborough because of their quarterback situation since Cam Newton to a teeny glimmer of Mac, even though I never liked the pick and thought the ceiling was so low on what he could be, to just watching him fall off a cliff, whether it was all his fault or not, into just these dark, dark days, and probably starting last season knowing you got a pretty mid QB at best, and you're probably not going to be bad enough to end up in a position where you can go out and draft a replacement. And what do you know? They were bad enough to get to this point. So it's a big deal that they got here, because this took at work, right? This could have been a 7-win team, Taylor. This could have been a team stuck in the middle of the draft, not able to do something like this. They had to get here. They had to get to 2 or 3 to get this, and they did it. So like that alone is something to be happy about and to smile about, and it is an accomplishment. We'll hear stuff from different people, coming up here from the draft, and I bet we'll hear reports from Foxborough. This is their guy. This is their guy. This is their guy. I believe a lot of those reports. I really do, Taylor. I think this is and was their guy the whole time. I really do.
Like you said, Gerard Mayo was pretty. I would just want to watch the video. I'm finally seeing him actually get taken. Gerard Mayo was very obvious about this. When we talked to him at the AFC Coaches Breakfast, and he's saying Drake Maye is a guy who he doesn't have a ceiling. He acknowledged the fact that, he's still a very inexperienced guy. He's 21 years old. He's going to turn 22 at some point this season, but he only played 2 seasons as a starter in college football. He still has a lot to learn, and everybody knows that. But, coaches are supposed to coach. That's the whole point of the job, is you take these guys who have all this talent. And again, I cannot emphasize enough that Drake Maye's not a guy who's just giving you, a bundle of traits where you're like, all right, but he doesn't know how to be accurate. He doesn't know when to throw with touch and all these things. There's so many traits that a lot of the quarterbacks in this class don't have in terms of just their innate physical ability, that he's gotten spades on top of, like I said earlier, the ability to attack a defense, knowing what kind of coverage structure he's getting, to punish them for certain lapses, and also to just make plays on his own. Like Mac Jones, we talked about it year after year, how he kept trying to do things he couldn't do. He kept trying to play outside of structure, be a runner, be a guy who could throw on the run. He couldn't do that. Patriots finally have a guy who can truly rise all ships and be the kind of quarterback who truly, not only on the field, but also off the field, once I think he grows more into that leadership role, which is great for Jacoby, can really be that guy who makes everybody around him better. Oh, this is so exciting. Oh, man. Competitive again. Let's go. Oh.
I mean, competitive or not, it's the hope. And again, anybody who's been here, and I know a lot of you guys have not, again, this dip that you've seen over the last few years is really the first taste of failure. If you're a Patriots fan, depending on how old you are when you were born, you've seen different things. It hasn't always been this way, but it also is hard to get out of it sometimes. And whether it's the Patriots or whether you're rooting for different teams here, hitting rock bottom is actually pretty cathartic in the sense that, there's only one place to go, which is up. You don't always get there, but the promise and the potential and the possibility, when you enter seasons, there was a downside a little bit in the dynasty years. there was nothing interesting that happened until the AFC Championship. Yeah, you loved watching them steamroll teams, and you wanted those rings, and you're compiling them, and it's great. Great, love it. But this is like you hang on everything here, right? The little bit of development, what are you going to do here? The possibility of adding weapons as you go, the possibility of maybe having landed that guy. Who knows if he's that guy or not? And it's fun to follow here. So again, it's pretty cool that like that's what we're in here. So let's talk about realistic expectations. Everybody assumes, Taylor, that it's not happening, right? Like that he's not starting. You have Jacoby Brissett, and for the first time, I'm saying Jacoby Brissett, and I don't mean O'Shea Brissett. Jacoby Brissett is the presumptive day one starter, much like Cam Newton was the presumptive day one starter, and Matt came in and took it from him. So we think because Maye is a little bit more raw, needs some refining, footwork mechanics, that he's going to wait it out. What do you think?
So
and Marvin Harrison Jr. goes 4.
Yeah,
everything has gone exactly according to plan, and also no trades, which is interesting here. Yeah.
I like that. Honestly, it's just these are the picks that made the most sense. Get Kyler Murray, his big outside receiver. He thrived with DeAndre Hopkins. He thrived with AJ Green. He doesn't really throw in the middle of the field. And Marvin Harrison Jr. gives him a guy who can win outside consistently and be that dominant X that he really thrives with. But in terms of Drake Maye and whether or not he's going to start year one, I really do think it's just going to take some time for him to really get the footwork under control, to put him in a position where he can process defenses and do certain things like that without having to necessarily, take certain hits or maybe lose his confidence. Like, you don't need to throw him into the fire. You have Jacoby Brissett. My thing is, if he starts showing you potential in practice and behind the scenes, you're like, oh no, like he's got his footwork down. He picked it up pretty quickly. He's throwing pretty accurately. He's still got a spray miss every once in a while, but he actually has a good training camp and, preseason. Maybe you do consider, maybe we put him out there. Now, a lot of this also depends on what's the offensive line situation. Is Chuks Okorafor good enough to really hold down that left tackle spot? Do you draft somebody who can be the starter and then, maybe there's some kind of shuffling? And also, do you have that true X? Because one thing, Maye loved throwing to his X receiver, that guy on the backside who is Tez Walker usually, who could just win one-on-one. If they get that kind of guy where you can instill confidence and he has those playmakers who can support him as a young guy who's maybe not going to be where he needs to be in terms of, again, the processing and certain decision-making things, I think you can play him at some point his rookie season. But at the same time, if you are hesitant and you're like, nah, we'd rather just have him develop behind the scenes a la Jordan Love and then be able to put him out there when he's a bit more confident in his abilities. I don't think he's not confident in his abilities. I think Drake Maye is supremely confident. But at the same time, I think you have the option because Jacoby is still a very good quarterback. Like with the Browns, they had him out there until Deshaun Watson ended his suspension. Deshaun Watson goes out there and he's markedly worse. And people were like, put Jacoby back out there. We don't want to watch this guy. So I think Jacoby is still a good enough quarterback as long as he stays healthy, where he can be your guy this season, again, especially if the supporting cast can improve with some talented, explosive rookies, maybe a trade or something like that. And if you really, really don't want Drake Maye starting year one, you have Bailey Zappi, who's shown 2 seasons in a row that he can be a solid spot starter for you. And this, like we talked about it, this isn't and I know you're going to laugh, but this also isn't a year where you want to win. Like, you want to be competitive. You don't really want to win a ton of games necessarily, because then you get another maybe top 5-10 pick and you get your true number one receiver. I don't think you get this season.
I want to do the Drew 90, like I said, 93 Drew Bledsoe, number 1 overall. Next year they come back with the number 4 pick, Willie McGinnis. And again, it's just not, if you go back and you look at every successful team, you look at the 3-4 drafts that preceded their ascent. That's where the core comes from. That's what you do. You got to nail these. You need not just core players. You need kind of top of your position type players. That's where you get them. And the cupboard has been relatively bare. Maybe they found one in Gonzalez. Maybe they found one in Barmore. That's the beginning. You're nibbling here. Barmore is already extension eligible though. So again, you're really only talking about just beginning to build here. You can't do it without the quarterback. There is an argument to build, from the inside. Go ahead.
Chargers are also picking. They're not trading.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's also a report here, and we'll get to this a little bit. The Patriots, according to Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, had big-time trade offers. What those are exactly, who knows? But stick and pick, and this is kind of plays to my point here, is sometimes it makes more sense to kind of build in the trenches before you go out and you get your quarterback, because it's not only who's he throwing to, Taylor, it's you want to keep him alive. And if you have any notion of starting Drake Maye, and again, some of the best quarterbacks in the world saw ghosts while they were, what do you got? Your reactions are killing me.
Sorry. I see it.
Just say it. Just say it.
The Chargers took Malik Neighbors. Finally got
There we
Justin
go.
Herbert a weapon. Let's go. Okay.
Well, you knew that was coming too. You know, when they got rid of their receivers here, you knew that was a thing that was there. Again, the board's been incredibly predictable so far. But as far as this goes, you have no choice when you pick this high. You've got to go with the quarterback here. So you got to address some other needs. The sexy thing, obviously, is receiver, but I really think you have to. You have to. If you have any hope of playing Drake Maye, he needs protection more than he needs weapons to begin with. You start worrying about that later. Not saying you don't want to see one, but there is that possibility of potentially trading a pick. As Zach Cox said earlier, Tom Curran had alluded to the possibility, NBC's Tom Curran, of Brandon Ayuk being in play for that 34th pick. And I think if you get through round one today, Taylor, and Ayuk's still a 49er, that becomes interesting and real entering day two tomorrow for sure. But right now you have what you have, which is Kendrick Bourne, Demario Douglas.
I will say this. I think Demario Douglas.
Jacked up Quan Thornton.
Demario Douglas is someone who like when remember last year we were talking about all the receivers. Now like everybody was basically a different version of Zay Flowers. It's like there was Zay, and then like Josh Downs was day 2 Zay, and then Demario Douglas was like day 3 Zay. Josh Downs was a really good receiver for Drake Maye, a guy he went to a lot. I think Demario Douglas is going to feast with Drake Maye on those slot fades.
Yeah, it's possible. Hold on 1 second. I think Demario actually is a much better player than his draft stock, and that he even last year he showed flashes in an offense that gave him virtually no shot of succeeding. So again, they still need help, and they need a true X. There are guys out there. We'll see how it goes. What's going to be interesting here is, again, I think the top 8 to 10 is going to play roughly the way you want to see it here. It gets a little interesting to see where McCarthy goes if the Vikings make a move here, with the Giants now on the clock at 6 as a potential landing spot here. We don't know. But after 10, 11, 12, that's where you're going to start to see where the run is. There's a lot of tackles. Is there going to be a run there? There's a few more receivers that people are talking about. You're talking about Thomas. You're talking about Worthy. You're talking about A.D. Mitchell. You're talking about Leggett. Some of these ones you're hoping creep into the second round. The Patriots are now in a position where they're kind of hoping like one of those tackles or receivers either creeps into round 2, or they can jump up and take them if that's what they're going to do here. So we'll see what happens right now as the rest of the board breaks down. But right now, everything relatively predictable. Caleb Williams, 1. Go ahead.
I have a question for you. If they trade back into the first, do you want them to take a tackle or a receiver?
So, the sexy pick is receiver, but I honestly believe they need a tackle more. I really do. And it goes against my general philosophy, which is draft receivers early and often, which I think you should do. But in this particular case, I think it's more important to this team to do it. And I still think you're going to have to take a shot. And again, it's got to be offense to start here. It really does. But I think, like I said, my philosophy is always, Taylor, you got to take probably 2 receivers in the first 3 rounds every couple of years, and just keep reloading. And I think that's the biggest area the Patriots not only having missed on the few shots they took at receiver is not taking enough shots at receiver. And you see all of the best teams do it, and they keep going until they have their guy. And you see, like I said, the Eagles with Devonta Smith and then trade for A.J. Brown. And you see the Jets going, back to the well year after year, even if they miss one. And go ahead, you got something?
So remember what I said about Drake May, like making people around him better? Elliot Wolf said he's a player who elevates the players around him. There you have it, straight from the horse's mouth. Honestly, man, me and Elliot Wolf, we're two peas in a pod, man. What did I say? I was the first one who said that Chuks Okorafor was probably going to be the top option at left tackle. And what did Elliot Wolf say? Chuks Okorafor would be our left tackle if the season started today. And what did I say about the receiver position? They need an X specifically. They need a receiver, but they need an X. I asked him, and he said specifically X. Man, Elliot Wolf, he's my GM. He's my GM. He's with this pick, he's going to stick around. Well, obviously, we have to see what happens the rest of the draft. But I'm just looking at. I'm trying to keep some idea of what's going on with the press conference.
Wait a second. It's not all. I'm looking at alt, not Neighbors.
Oh,
right?
wow. Okay. I guess there was a last second change. Oh, there's
Is that bad info?
It must have been bad info. Yeah, but still not a bad pick. I'm not mad at that. They needed an offensive tackle. I thought maybe they just going with their second pick.
Yeah, I know. Sorry, you said it. I threw the graphic up, and then I went to Twitter looking to see if 6 came in, and I saw. Wait a second, it's alt, and it's been on the screen the whole time. Not Neighbors, alt. Neighbors was the pick. I guess maybe that's your first teeny curveball, and we are looking at Elliot Wolf, Gerard Maye are talking right now. Pick 3 on the clock. I wonder who is minding the store right now, guys. The phone could be ringing. Is Robert picking up the phone? You can't have Robert pick up the phone.
It's Jonathan. Obviously, it's Jonathan.
You can't have that. They're talking right now, which is fine. We'll if we get something, we've got super producer Amit down there. He's shooting this. He's on the scene in Foxborough. We might be able to turn around a soundbite here if we're still on the air and talk to you guys. We've been up for $140 already. So we're gonna hang because I still think it's interesting. At least through pick 10, I think, or till JJ McCarthy goes. Just updating what we're going to do plan-wise here. We are going to wrap at a certain point today. We're not going to take you all the way through the first round, though anything is possible. Go ahead, Taylor.
Gerard Mayo said that Jacoby Brissett understands his role. He's a mentor. Doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to be the starter, but that is interesting, at least that I feel like that kind of hints that if Drake May is ready to play, he can play. I mean, that's not
I've never understood the notion that people are just set that he's sitting. Yeah. If he shows up and he looks like he's ready to go, he's going to play. That's how it works now. How many top 3 picks sit? You know, it's not. You're not seeing it really. It's just.
So Mayo actually said, I don't think many rookies are ready to just jump in and play. Coming in as a rookie, hopefully he's a sponge.
Yeah, we will see. Neighbors to the Giant. The chat is telling me.
That would make sense.
Yep. Malik Neighbors to the Giants at number 6. Great. Honestly, terrific player. Some people legit believe he could be better than Harrison.
Yeah, he's just more. I think he's more explosive. That's
more explosive.
Thing. Also, remember when I said that JJ McCarthy could slip? I think actually you might not have been in the chat at that point, but I did say. Because the Giants didn't like JJ. Oh, no, you were there. The Giants weren't a JJ McCarthy team, so he could legitimately still end up going to the Vikings. And they don't even have to move.
Yeah.
Let's see. This is the beauty of a live show. Sometimes we gotta get our info and stay up to date with what's going on.
Yeah.
Best players are going to play. Yeah, you don't have to force him in at any point. Like, that's what Jacoby's here for. He's a guy who's already proven he can start in this league. Now, you don't want him starting as like your long-term plan, obviously, but he can be the guy where in your year 0 season, he is the guy.
Yeah. So Neighbors, I guess was a teeny bit. McCarthy's hanging. He's kind of laughing. He's got that. He's got that Will Levis face. He's got the, he's like, wait, you guys do like me, right? Like everyone said they liked me. We'll see. I love that. Now, do you believe this? Because this is interesting. I don't know how much farther he falls. I'm not poking fun at the guy, but the report that Mike threw out that it was Daniels or McCarthy is really interesting. That has Trey Lance versus Mac Jones vibes, which is like, only one person really likes this guy. And it happens to be the GM, maybe much higher than everyone else does. Wouldn't that have been crazy? I really wonder what the Patriots do there if that were the case.
Yeah,
if that had happened.
I'm still getting like goosebumps at the idea of that even potentially happening. I think they would have stayed. I think they would have stayed put and just taken Jayden.
Yeah. No, I do wonder. But Neighbors going here at 6. JJ McCarthy is still on the board. You know that Caleb is super interested in the Washington receiver Roman Adunze there. So he's another name to look out for here in this early going. And then the question is, where the quarterbacks kind of sneak in here. I am definitely a little interested to see how that plays out. This is really the next. It's always funny, right? It's either a 3 quarterback first round, a 6 quarterback first round. You really don't know. Like, would it be shocking if nobody but McCarthy went here in the first? Because I know you said Penix. I'm not sold. I'm not sold that there's a run on those second-tier quarterbacks there. I think people hang.
I wouldn't be shocked. It just depends on if a team
But
gets
it benefits the Patriots. If you're the Patriots, you want to see 8 quarterbacks go in the first round because that's just pushing people down the board. You want to see as many as possible.
True. That's very true. Also, Elliot Wolf said about Drake May being able to handle the New England market. He was one of the only quarterbacks in this draft that went up there after every loss and handled the media. Not that Chapel Hill media is as tough as you guys, but he handled it with class. That is pretty significant because obviously he might have to do quite a bit of that early on in his career. So that is a pretty cool, it's not the biggest thing in the world, but clearly it was enough that it swayed their opinion on him. So I did think that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, look, I mean, you can all the nice things and all the flowers everyone's going to throw here, are great, fine. And it's all good. Can he play or not play? We're not going to know right out of the bat. But again, it is exciting, Taylor, because again, it's the best time of year for NFL fans when training camp starts a few months away, and you go there and you start to take a look at it. And again, just from a talent perspective, you're going to see things that we haven't seen here in a long time, and you're going to see somebody who has the tools to be successful, which you didn't have before. And I guess that was my biggest thing with Mac. I never got it. Because I don't believe you can have a noodle arm and not great pocket mobility or the ability to extend plays or make off platform throws and be really successful unless you're perfect, perfect. But even if he was, it just wasn't exciting. And you knew we're playing this dink and dunk sort of underneath offense, which is a lot of the stuff you saw. And that's just not fun. Do you want to have some fun? Yes, you want a quarterback who's going to stress defenses and put balls into tight windows and do these things. Can he do it at the NFL level? No idea. But he's capable of it. And I think that that's the most important thing. Now.
Also, Elliot Wolf said the Patriots knew for weeks that Jayden would be going to the Commanders. But yeah, I still think Mac would have been a good, not like great. He would have been a good quarterback if the Patriots did what they were supposed to do and actually surrounded him with talent. Everybody knew he's a point guard. Like, I think his pocket mobility was underrated, honestly. I think he was more elusive in that sense than he got credit for or gets credit for, whatever. And even showed early last season, it was like, okay, he can do a little something out of structure. You don't want him doing it a lot. But then I think there was also the signs, obviously, where like the pressure did start getting to him. And even in week 1, he was fading away from throws. So, I mean, we don't have to rehash the Mac Jones argument. We've moved on clearly, but
it's not even an argument. It's more a matter of sometimes you just want fun, and sometimes you just, it's. You knew the Patriots weren't going anywhere last year or the year before, so you just want to be entertained a little. I think the worst than the losses last year, was the hopeless slog that the entire season was, almost from day one, seeing how bereft of talent they were at the positions that mattered most, and knowing that, you're watching this out of habit. Not because you actually, or because it's your job, not because of any reason at all. It gave you no joy. There was no entertainment value. There was no reason to do it other than you felt that you had to, or you actually had to. And that's what sucked.
And I can tell you that firsthand, because I'm a dude who got my dream job and got to go to Patriots games live every week. And half the time I'm sitting there, I'm just like, dude, I'm bored out of my mind. I'm like, this is what I've been working my entire life for. And not that I'd rather be anywhere else or anything like that, but I was just like, I didn't think this job could ever be boring, and Mac is proving me wrong. We're just like punt, 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 interception, fumble, punt, punt. Just like an unwatchable brand of football. I don't think we're going to see that again. I don't think Jacoby Brissett is capable of playing football that bad. And I also don't think this offense, even if you went into this season and just had your veterans and like sat the rookies, like, other end of the spectrum, I still think this could be a competitive team because the defense will be good. All you need is for the offense to be average to below average, just not terrible. Also special teams. And I think this is a unit where you're like, all right, they're building something and it's something that you can at least respect, especially because they actually have their quarterback. Also, the whole thing with like Calvin Ridley, part of it might have been the fact the Patriots didn't have a quarterback and their quarterback situation kind of dissuaded some people from wanting to play for them. Now, if you're looking at Brandon Ayuk or you want to trade for a veteran receiver, you're in a position where you can say, hey, we've got one of the most talented, we got the second most talented quarterback in this draft class. You can help make him, the best player he can be. It gives you more of a bargaining leverage because you're not going in here saying, we got JJ McCarthy. We don't really know what he is yet, but we're going to try to find out. You know that Drake May can be great. You just have to get him to do it on a consistent basis, which, considering he's only started for 2 years, it's a very reasonable expectation that with repetition and experience and actually getting some live reps in an NFL field, he'll be able to get there. So I think that's also something to consider, that now that they have the quarterback, they have some leverage in negotiations when it comes to trades.
Tennessee Titans select offensive lineman J.C. Latham, 7th overall pick. Again, this is someone absolutely considered in that top tackle conversation along with Joe Alt. So again, a pick here. And I think Tennessee, a lot of people had tackle as the position that they expected them to go. And they got one of the top 2 tackles in the draft here. So we are off and running. Let's see. Okay. They're off and running here for with their pick. We're on to pick number 8. JJ McCarthy still hanging around.
He's slipping, I called it. He's slipping.
I'm not hugely. That's the thing, is like, it's not that surprising, right? It could happen, and he could have gone 2. And I wouldn't have been that shocked by either. But I am curious, how much, how far quarterbacks in general fall. And once again, I truly believe that, it's a fact. We know more quarterbacks taken in the first round is good for the Patriots now that they got theirs. So you're a Patriots fan right now. What you're rooting for is quarterback.
Push those good tackles and receivers down the board, or defense. Hey, defense still wins.
Take all the ones you want. All of them. Oh my God.
Every edge rusher, you can have them.
So Taylor, they all figured it out. I've been saying this. I'm the dumbest guy on the planet when it comes to these prospects, but I've been saying this forever. Like, oh my God, yeah, an elite corner, an edge, maybe. Although I think the push is kind of moving now towards value being interior rushers a little more than edge, getting a tad less sexy. But unless you're getting Micah Parsons or friggin' Sauce Gardner, like, go get these positions. They're so hard to find anywhere else but the top of the draft. Receivers available, as we've seen last couple of years, all over the draft now. And that's what's really cool and interesting, is you're getting not just hits, home runs in the second and third round of these drafts. Now there is a ton of talent here. As far as what happens the rest of the draft, Taylor, Elliot Wolf speaking right now at Gillette Stadium. Patriots looking to acquire more draft picks. They might move around the board. We've talked quite a bit about moving up to get that guy if you want him. But there is a possibility, should quarterbacks fall, the Patriots could be sitting in a really interesting position. I believe they're second in the second round, right? Because you got that rotation. Between the 3 teams that had the same record. They rotate 1, 2, 3 in terms of their picks. They were tied with Washington and Arizona. Washington picks second, Patriots third, Arizona fourth. The Patriots pick second in the second round. So they're sitting there, and if 1 or 2 quarterbacks is there, it's a great position to be in for someone who, wow, I didn't think that guy would still be here and really wanted a quarterback to go up and get them. And that's a good way. That's a premium pick. A high second is a really big pick that you can acquire some more capital there, maybe another second and a third, and then you can start to talk about addressing multiple positions here. That was the downside with needing so much, is you're really like, they got to take quarterback high, so they're really only going to get 2. I love
Falcons took Michael Penix Jr.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm serious. Oh my God. So that's the first bomb of the draft. Oh my God. Woo, that's fun. Oh my gosh. Well, everyone's mock drafts just exploded. Oh my
wow.
gosh.
That is something.
Whoa. So they must not think Kirk Cousins is going to be around. What's his contract actually? Let me see real quick. Cousins contract. It's a 4-year deal or 3-year deal. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Nope, that's not what I want. Give me what I want. It's a 4-year deal. That's weird.
Or like $137 million or something. This is what they call in the business a shocker.
Yeah. So I guess now they're in a position where they can trade Kirk Cousins if Michael Penix Jr. plays really well, going into next season, or if he ends up taking over the job. I don't know. That's very interesting, though. I wonder what the idea was behind that.
Holy crap.
Oh, Jonathan Jones for CBS. Let's see. Did he have this? He did. He's nailed it. Oh, except no, he thought that the Vikings were going to trade up with the Chargers to take JJ, but he did have Penix going to the Falcons at number 8. So he also had Rome going to the Bears, which would be insane. That would be awesome for Caleb Williams.
That is bananas.
Oh my God. Wait, let me see what the Bears depth chart looks like. Bears depth chart. What do they need? Yeah, DJ Moore. They do need a receiver. They need a receiver pretty badly.
That one is surprising. Holy crap.
I'm not Jayden McCarthy with Atlanta. Oh my gosh. Chris Bayless, that was a good joke. Well done. Well done. But yeah, that's crazy. I'm just trying to get some info on what maybe inside information there is and why they did that. Nothing. I'm not getting really any updates right now.
We can pause. You can look around. I'm not seeing it, but it is interesting to see how that broke down, and what the thinking is. I don't know. Maybe because of the tampering, the league's going to take Cousins away. I mean, obviously that's not going to happen, but holy crap.
That's actually a pretty good point. I totally forgot about that.
But this is dumb. The Falcons do dumb stuff. This is, again, think about the dumb everything the Falcons have done. They have consistently drafted things they don't need or don't use. Between Pitts, who every fantasy owner on the planet at some point or another has owned a share of Pitts and lost their minds about why you would draft a tight end that high and then literally not use them and not even use them, not have them in third down and passing situations. And then you draft a running back. Guys, you don't need a running back. And then you draft a quarterback after signing a quarterback.
It's so bizarre, man. To a 4-year deal. I don't get the thinking there at all. I'm refreshing and I don't get it. Derek Klassen, who's a friend of the show, said Mac Jones to Drake May is going to be some of the nastiest whiplash ever in terms of play style. That's hilarious.
Again, that's what I'm saying too. The entertainment factor alone of watching somebody who can actually do it versus somebody who's just I still
the faces, the Mac Jones faces. I love the guy as a person, but I will not miss the. Not just
Bears and Adunze is another one that was basically a done deal. You think, right?
I would think so. Is that what's no? It hasn't been reported yet, but yeah, it seems like that's a lot. Oh my gosh, this is fun. I like what's going. Except for the Falcons, I don't really care about them. That is just so.
Will the Patriots if you take it to the Patriots Pro Shop and May stays with 10, will they just take the Jones stuff off and restitch May on there for you, or do you have to buy a whole new jersey?
Oh, that's a good. You probably know better than I would. That's a good question. I don't know, but I can't wait to go to.
I demand a refund. I demand a refund.
I can't wait to see all the tailgaters with the Mac Jones jerseys and the duct tape that says May. Man, that's gonna be funny.
That is bananas. We were trying to talk, me and some of my buddies trying to talk ourselves into panics with the notion of like down to 23 in a Minnesota trade scenario, thinking like that's a good spot. And then thinking, well, he might go a lot earlier than that. I cannot believe it. And again, what I don't know is what's always interesting here, Taylor, to me, when these shock picks is it shocking only to media and the analysts who don't actually know anything in terms of inside info or intel, who just placed Penix low first, early second, and that's where they thought his spot was, and that everybody in the NFL was like, no, he's the third or fourth best quarterback in the draft, and it's not even close. It's very possible that's the case. It's also very possible Atlanta values him 20 picks higher than everybody else.
Albert Breer confirmed that Rome is going to the Bears.
Yeah.
That's going to be such a fun team to watch. I'm honestly fired up. DJ Moore. Oh, who else? They got, did they get somebody else? Actually, no.
Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen. That's a great supporting cast. Keenan Allen being your number 3 is phenomenal.
Justin Fields is somewhere just crying his eyes out right now. Like, what
he doesn't even have Deontay Johnson. All he has is George, which, like, it's not like George Pickens is bad, but that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah, so Roman, that's 9. McCarthy. Minnesota getting McCarthy without having to do a freaking thing would be really something, right? Yeah. If that's what they want to do.
I think it looks like that's exactly what's going to happen. Honestly, I like drafts where everybody's happy, except the Falcons, because they don't know what they're doing. But
I hate sad sliding draft room people. The saddest moment is when they take them to a different location so the cameras can't shoot their disappointed faces anymore. Walk of shame. That's so sad to me. I never want to see it. So Roman, am I saying it right?
It's because his dad was I think a history professor or something like that, and literally named him like after Rome, the city. So I think it's just Rome. Ooh, we got video. I can't hear you. You're muted.
Because I was eating. We've been on for 2 hours. I didn't,
You're telling me Liz is cooking something and I can smell it, and it smells amazing. It's driving me crazy.
I made a lot of food earlier today because Laura's dad was over, and I cooked for him because Laura's mom is out of town, so poor dad is just eating like Chex Mix at home. So he came over. He's eating stewed tomatoes out of a can. So I just I had to cook him some food, but I didn't get to eat much of it. As we said,
trading up to 10 with the Jets.
There it is. So they weren't. They waited. They played that well. They did.
Good. Also, wait. So did they think they were going to get jumped?
They wanted to be sure, right?
Yeah, I guess. But like, they must have heard that someone was going to jump them. Because why would you trade? What they had 11, right?
Yeah.
Why would you trade one spot up?
Because you think someone else is trading to 10 to jump you. You're doing it to prevent someone jumping you.
Well, I hope it's not them just being paranoid, but at the same time, they're kind of in a spot where they New England trade.
Mistake. Yeah. Bad punch, as they say in the business. No, I was trying to get to this one. So the reason I wanted to put this up, New England Patriots, as we know, you're here and you've been with us for the majority of these 2 hours are in and out, but you're a Patriots fan. You know exactly what has happened. I don't need to rehash it all, but the Patriots brass did speak Elliott Wolf and Gerard Mayo, who, again, for a rookie head coach, is clearly seated at the big boy table in terms of his input in what's going on here. And I think because he's a Kraft favorite, they want him to be involved in this stuff. And this is a collaborative process. And Mayo is a rah-rah Drake May sort of guy. And here he is talking about the Drake May selection.
Do you know Charles McDonald?
This is a soundbite playing right now.
Ready to just jump in and play. And look, at the end of the day, our philosophy is the best players will play. And, you know, coming in as a rookie, hopefully he's a sponge. A lot of good players in that locker room. And look, Jacoby he understands. Like, he's a mentor. He's very smart, has great leadership skills, and hopefully Drake can learn something from him as well. But I would say, like, we're going to compete all spring. We're going to compete during training camp, and the best player will start.
The best player will start. What were you going to say, Taylor?
Oh, it's not relevant. It's not relevant. This is more important. But I mean, that's what we were saying. Where if Drake Maye does play well, it shows like, hey, this guy's getting up to speed pretty quickly. There's no reason to put him on the bench. The only reason I would think of, because like the over aggressiveness and the processing, those are things you kind of have to learn as you go. And again, I don't think he's like completely like brain dead where he doesn't know what he's seeing. I think he just needs to get more consistent at it. So if you look in camp and it's like he's not really throwing interceptions or he's throwing into, ideal windows and things like that, and the footwork, which Alex Van Pelt has said usually doesn't take really that long in his system, there's no reason for Drake Maye to sit the entire season. Like, I think the supporting cast is good enough. This, like, Kendrick Bourne is good. Demario Douglas is good. Hunter Henry is good. You have 3 solid veterans. You just get at least one rookie who can give you that explosiveness from the X spot. And I think you got yourself a pretty good offense.
Yep. Yeah. But
the other thing I was going to say was, do you know Charles McDonald writes for USA Today?
Yeah.
He was, before the Falcons, he's a big Falcons guy. Before they took Michael Penix Jr., he tweeted Rome Odunze season, like, you got Kirk Cousins, no reason not to. And then his next text or his next tweet was just, oh my God. That poor dude, man. Falcons fans are one of the most impoverished franchises recently in terms of just awful, awful luck and management of that team.
Could have been Bill's team.
That's tough, man. Oh, it could have been Bill's team. I wonder what Bill would have done. Honestly, I bet Arthur Blank is like, what? We should have got Bill. What the hell are we doing?
I trusted you. I trusted you. What did you do? Wow. Waiting to see here in Minnesota. The assumption is McCarthy, but boy, would this be a wrinkle if it ends up being something else. Is it in yet? Do we see it? Everyone's assuming it, but I haven't seen it yet. Oh, it says Jordan has it moving up. It's going to be McCarthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's McCarthy.
Okay, so that's it. That we got there to 10. McCarthy would have been something if it ended up being something like Bo Nix. That would have really been that. So
I don't think he's not going in the first round. I'd genuinely be stunned.
Minnesota Vikings trade up with the Jets. We're going to wait on the Jets pick too because we got
should
AFC
I
East
hop on
here.
the Drake Maye call?
Is he up?
Yeah, like right now.
If you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop on that.
Okay, so I'm gonna filibuster for a little bit, but we're probably gonna wrap this draft show here. Taylor, if you want to jump on here, peace out. I'll hang out here and we'll kind of chat for a little bit with oh, sorry. I thought I was muted. We'll chat for a little bit longer, and then we'll move it around. Recapping the board: Caleb Williams went 1, Jayden McDaniels went 2. We expected that, and then Patriots ended up at 3 with Drake Maye, and that's that. That's kind of what you really wanted to see happen with those selections. Beyond that, Marvin Harrison Jr. It's what you expected, absolutely. Malik Neighbors. As well. Los Angeles, a little bit of a curveball, but not quite. Everyone thought they were taking receiver. They took Joe Alt. That's fine. Tennessee took a tackle. Big shocker was Michael Penix to Atlanta at 8. A lot of people didn't see that. Rome Odunze went to the Bears, joining Caleb Williams. They're already besties, it seems, throughout the pre-draft process. Minnesota very shrewdly. That's not supposed to be on the screen. Minnesota very shrewdly traded up 1 spot to make sure that they didn't get past. They waited. They didn't trade. A lot of people thought they'd have to trade up to 4 or higher, and they didn't. They hold on 1 second. And they didn't. They just traded up 1 spot, gave up some lower draft picks. Jets, who are on the clock right now, to 11. Are on the clock, and Minnesota took J.J. McCarthy at 10. So I guess Penix was the big one that surprised people, but the top of the draft went very much like it was expected to go, with the New England Patriots selecting Drake Maye. Gerard Mayo, we heard from him a minute ago. He spoke in Foxborough. Elliott Wolf, who is the man in the big chair for all intents and purposes, he spoke a minute ago, and here's Elliot Wolf talking about the Drake Maye selection.
Picks,
Spinning.
and we'll probably move around a little bit, hopefully acquire some more picks, but we feel strongly about the board, and we'll kind of see how it goes here. There's a lot of good players that are going to come off the board before our next one, so we'll just kind of see how it goes here.
Well, that doesn't say anything. That doesn't tell us much, does it? Not really. Wait a second. That's not cool, is it? So the Jets, I want to hang till the Jets go, and then we're going to boogie here. What we're going to do, and what I was saying earlier, as we know, Patriots selected Drake Maye. There's no more picks here in the first, but there's always a possibility they trade in, and that's what Elliot Wolf just alluded to. They pick at the top of the second round, but should they potentially trade up if they see something they like? A lot of people want to see them go. It's a tackle deep draft. There's a lot of good receivers there. There's a couple of true X's remaining that you might be able to get at the bottom of the first round, which is what they need, and they don't really have at all right now. Someone to play on the outside. And yes, you got to get your quarterback, probably both. There's also talk of potentially trading that pick. But who knows? And again, if you're going to do that for someone like Brandon Ayuk, gimme. But that's what you got here. Patriots have no more picks here in this draft. So what we're going to do, Taylor's, like I said, listening to Drake Maye right now, we're going to hop back on. We do this every year. Usually we kind of just jump in and around when the Patriots pick. If there's any word that there's a trade, we're going to hop on. We're going to try to get out in front of it before they make the pick, talk about what might be happening, and then analyze the pick in real time as it happens. If they don't, we would be done with our live stuff for the night. But what you can do is you can keep it on this channel. We're going to switch over to the Pats Nation pod. The Pats Pulpit guys are going to carry it through the rest of the first round here. We will jump in and interrupt if we have to with a Patriot selection, but those guys have been going since 7:30, and they got an awesome cast of characters there. Started with Pat and Matt, who host that show, and it's a really fun show on the CLNS Media Network. They're going to hang out all the way through the first round. They're going to keep going. So we're going to switch over to that. That's going to be on our channel. If you want to keep the draft coverage and the local slant of it going here, then check out those guys there. We will be back. You can also jump into, and if you haven't already, you should subscribe to our Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel. We're going to have Jerod Mayo's press conference up if you haven't had a chance to hear it. We're going to have Elliot Wolf up there talking about it. Mike Kadlick, who was on the show earlier, and Taylor are going to do some stuff together too, breaking down the pick and what else they're hearing, what might be going on, in addition to a preview for tomorrow. So there is a lot more content coming on this channel before we wrap it up here. But it was fun. Sum it all up. They did it. We did it, right? We did it. They got their quarterback. I know there's some people that don't love it. We know there's bust potential. There's bust potential with all of them. Go through the draft, look at the different picks. They don't hit. And it's a nightmare, right? You saw what happened. I think a lot of people have what was in the back of their mind from the 2021 draft. 5 players taken, 1 supposed can't miss, Lawrence, 1 supposed can't miss here, Caleb Williams. There's a comp there. That is the one. And then everything else is, I like this guy a lot. Zach Wilson, he's toolsy. Trey Lance had played quarterback for like 10 minutes. Nobody knew if he was any good. Justin Fields, raw, but really athletic. And then there was the Mac Jones. Could he go as high as 3rd? Where is he going to go? It was a 5 quarterback draft in the first 15 picks. We had a 5 quarterback draft in the first 10 picks. Yeah. 3-4 of these guys probably won't hit, and you're just hoping your guy isn't one of those guys, and it's very possible it is, but it's still exciting and it's still fun, and there's still a lot to look forward to. And honestly, this part was somewhat predictable in a good way. You thought it was possible that they were going to go in this direction, stay and May take their pick and move on. things get really, 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 really interesting. Really interesting. And thank you guys in the comments. And it was fun hanging out. We really do appreciate it. It really gets interesting later tonight and into tomorrow. Those rounds 2 and 3 picks, there's some really good players. And again, picking early in the draft gives you a lot of collateral. These are, and a lot of NFL teams view it this way, right? What do you talk about first round grades? A lot of these teams have what they would consider to be first round grades on sometimes as few as 8 to 10 players, sometimes 12 to 14. And then there's that kind of vibe, like among a lot of teams, that picks 15 to 35 or 40 are kind of the same. So like you're picking 34, you could be picking 24. It's kind of in that range. So it really comes down to who did you scout? Who do you like? Who do you want? You want to see them kind of make that play. And again, do we have a pick here on the Jets, I believe? Yeah, well, we'll get to that in a little bit. You want to see them move up if they really like their guy, but you kind of also would like to see them not move up or even move down if they're in a position like Christian Gonzalez last year where you get some more draft capital. I have a guy. I know who that guy is. I think I can get that guy or the next guy on my board who's just as good, in my opinion, a little bit later and kind of amass a little bit more draft capital. I think both of those things are possible. So again, keep it here with CLNS Media on this channel. Let's get more coverage here with Pat and Matt, as we said, and their cast of characters. And then we will jump back on should there be a selection in the next who knows how long. Amit, do I have the promo with all the guys and all our podcasts? I want to throw that up there before I go. I don't know if you're still in here or listening. The all the pods on the channel, because it doesn't stop here. It is pretty interesting. We've got Taylor here with Patriots Daily and Mike Kadlick, and they'll be joining us again later. And as we said, Pat and Matt. But insane amount of Patriots podcasts on our network here that we're going to be hearing from in the next little bit. And that includes Greg Bedard. That includes Nick Cattles. That includes Andrew Callahan of the Boston Herald, and a lot of other things, a lot of other shows here. Obviously, Patriots Beat, a CLNS original with Alex Barth and Brian Hines. All of those guys are going to be reacting tomorrow and previewing round 2. So again, really good stuff that you can get there as well on this network. So we're going to sign off. We may be back. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. Once again, quick shout out to our sponsor, and that, of course, is Prize Picks, America's #1 DFS app. Go to Prize Picks, download the app, promo code CLNS, and get you $100 deposit. 100% deposit match up to $100. So once again, #1 DFS app. You go in, pick your players. NBA playoffs are rolling right now. And again, I know there's some people, I recognize your names in the chat. Blorp, like we're best friends. He's like my best buddy. I've never met him. Our Garden Report followers, there's plenty of basketball stuff. Bobby Manning did a great podcast actually earlier with Brian Barrett from The Ringer. You want to check that out if you want some Celtics coverage here to tide you over in between your draft sandwich. But we are, what do we got? Oh, that was McCarthy. There's a lot of stuff on all of our channels because it's a great time of year right now with the Bruins playoffs. We've got live post-game shows on that channel, Celtics playoffs with the Garden Report every single night, and a slew of podcasts. And, of course, our Patriots coverage, which will continue throughout the weekend. We're either back later tonight or we will be back tomorrow in the same capacity, 7 o'clock. We will be previewing round 2 and round 3. It'll be me, Taylor, Kadlick, Mike Giardi, possibly other guests as well. Mike Giardi from BSJ, formerly NFL Network. So a really, really, really good slate of guests there as well. And we will see you guys. Like I said, I'd love to see you in a little bit if the Patriots make a trade. Someone's asking me a question here. I'll ask it. No, they should not. They should not. Yeah. They should not. They should play Swayman. I'm multi-sportsual, by the way, and yes, love it. No, Swayman. I love anybody listening to Monty today, Montgomery. He said Swayman's in their head. I think so. I think you play Allmark, you're doing him a favor. I think you're in a tough spot because you want to alternate here. I do not know how you go off of it. If you're into stats and you're a nerd with the money puck or natural stat trick or all of those things, in 2 games, Swayman's goals saved above expected is like 7. I mean, he's been unreal. Even in the first game, you thought it was a blowout. He stood on his freaking head. They cannot crack him right now. I don't think you can move on to that. I really don't. Celtics, yeah, they'll be back. We expect that as well. Thank you guys out there for the nice words. Like I said, either later tonight or tomorrow, but a ton more on this channel. So keep it here. Subscribe, tell your friends. We will be here all night, all weekend long doing NFL draft stuff, and it should be fun. We will talk to you guys later.